Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola says normal police operations will continue today after explosive allegations against Minister Senzo Mchunu and some SAPS top brass. In an unprecedented move yesterday, KZN top cop Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi made claims that the minister and the officials are complicit in a syndicate controlled by drug cartels and business people who have infiltrated organized crime in the country. Masemola says part of this week's operations include the appointment of an acting divisional commissioner for crime intelligence. Police spokesperson Atlenda Mate.
The mandate and work of the police, which is to prevent, combat and investigate crime, to maintain public order, to protect and secure the inhabitants of the republic and their property, and to uphold and enforce the law, is not infected in any way.
The NPA is today expected to present the final charge sheet in the 27 million rand corruption case involving former ANC national spokesperson Pule Mabe. Mabe, along with 6 others, will be appearing in the Johannesburg Specialized Commercial Crimes Court sitting in Palm Ridge this morning. They are charged with several counts of fraud, money laundering and contraventions of the Public Finance Management Act. The charges relate to a 2017 tender which was scored by Mabe's company Enviromobi to supply about 200 three-wheeler motorbikes to waste pickers in Ekurhuleni. Thabiso Goba reports.
It's been 9 months since Pule Mabe and his co-accused made their first court appearance. During that time, Mabe has effectively paused his political career. His legal representative, Zola Majavu, says the former member of parliament is unhappy with the delays in the case.
He's not very happy, but he doesn't locate himself above the law. It's not a nice thing to be subjected to court processes with your wife. The toll he's taking on them is unbearable, but that is how the legal cookie crumbles, and they have to be here and stick it out like everyone else.
At this stage, it's common knowledge the Gauteng government paid the full amount for the three-wheeler bikes. However, not all of them were delivered. All 7 accused have indicated they intend on pleading not guilty. Thabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
Eskom says Unit 4 of its Medupi power station has been successfully returned to service 8 months ahead of its original schedule, adding 800 megawatts to the national grid. The power utility says this milestone strengthens South Africa's energy security and it enhances the stability of electricity supply. The unit's return follows extensive repairs after it was taken offline almost 4 years ago when it sustained significant damage in an explosion. Eskom spokesperson Daphne Mokoena says with the return of Unit 4, all 6 units at Medupi are now operational.
This achievement moves us closer to consistently overcoming load shedding, which is now largely behind us due to structural improvements in the generation fleet as we continue to build a more reliable, resilient and sustainable power system.
Eastern Cape Judge President Selby Mbenenge will have his turn in the hot seat this morning when he testifies before the Judicial Conduct Tribunal investigating allegations of sexual harassment against him. The senior judge is expected to give his version of events after High Court Secretary Andiswa Mengo accused him of making unwanted sexual advances towards her. The long-awaited testimony marks a pivotal moment in proceedings that have gripped the legal fraternity and the country.
The tribunal sitting in Sandton, Johannesburg last week heard testimonies from 2 witnesses called by the Judge President's legal team in an effort to discredit the testimonies of the junior staffer and several other witnesses called by evidence leader Advocate Salome Schiapas. However, the tribunal ruled not to hear the evidence of Mbenenge's 3rd witness, Makhanda High Court stenographer and Mengo's ex-friend Unathi Sokoni. The panel ruled that her testimony is hearsay evidence and that it is irrelevant in the inquiry. The senior judge has maintained his innocence but has yet to personally address the damning claims that he made unwelcomed sexual advances towards his subordinate. Zolega Kodashe, Eyewitness News.
And US President Donald Trump has bettered away questions about whether his administration's cuts to the National Weather Service had an impact on the government's ability to warn residents of floods. The state of Texas has been hit by deadly floods that have left at least 82 people dead. Authorities say this is one of the largest search and rescue efforts in recent Texas history. Search and rescue crews are still looking for more people who are believed to be missing. Trump says the administration's cuts had no role in the latest tragedy.
Do you think that the federal government needs to hire back any of the meteorologists who were fired in the last few months?
I wouldn't know that. I really wouldn't. I would think not. This was the thing that happened in seconds. Nobody expected it. Nobody saw it. Very talented people are there, and they didn't see it. It's, I guess they said, once in 100 years. They've never seen anything like this. So.
Gold is trading at $3,311.15 an ounce. The rand is at 17.76 to the dollar, 24.17 to the pound, 20.87 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $68.06 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N3 north towards the Kilulis interchange while traveling on the R21 south in the Tembisa area. Please be on the lookout for roadworks that are taking place right near the R23 turn off. Delays just as you come out of Olifantsfontein Road.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 17 and 19 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola says normal operations will continue today in the police force after explosive allegations against Minister Senzo Mchunu and some SAPS top brass.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. Walk through history, walk with it. Sunday, 27 July, 7:02 Walk the Talk. Hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane. More on primemediaplus.com.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
8 minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang, happy Monday. Welcome to the Clement Manyathela Show. I hope you're well this morning. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. We start with the 702 open line on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. What is going on in the South African Police Service? Did you watch that dramatic press briefing by the KZN Police Commissioner, making all sorts of allegations against some top brass in the SAPS, including the Minister of Police? General Mkhwanazi accuses the minister of being in cahoots with criminals and protecting them. He claims they bankroll his political aspirations. The minister responds and says the claims are baseless, and he'll be looking at what General Mkhwanazi said, and appropriate action will be considered. What do you think is behind this open war in the SAPS? I have some thoughts that I'll share with you about that. I really seriously think that General Mkhwanazi probably was responding to something that was imminent. Was there perhaps an imminent arrest and he needed to come out and say boldly what he believes is at play here? But he makes some serious allegations that have to be investigated ASAP. So let's talk about that. Let me know what you think is going on here. You can give me a call or send me a WhatsApp voice note. Did you watch the British Grand Prix yesterday? I enjoyed it. I'm glad that it actually rained because it gave us some action as Formula One fans. Lots of mistakes being made, like all the time whenever it rains, but also lots of skills being demonstrated by experienced drivers. So it was such a fascinating race. I was disappointed though, I must say, that a call wasn't made for Lando Norris to allow Oscar Piastri to lap him, because that 10-second penalty that Oscar Piastri was sanctioned was wild. They said it's for erratic driving behind a safety car, but 10 seconds? As a result, he lost his number one position. I mean, he was leading so comfortably. Did you enjoy the race? What stood out for you? 011-883-0702. Your WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. And can you believe it? The Clement Manyathela Show is now officially 5 years old. How hectic is that? Yesterday marked 5 years since the inception of this show, and it's been so wonderful being in your company and really doing this live thing with you, because it really is that. I think we've managed to touch lives as the show. We have helped people heal. We have informed. We have found people jobs. We've made enemies. We've made friends. We've won awards. We've done it all. And it's been so much fun. And thank you for walking the talk with us over the last 5 years. I think we have the best of the best on this show. And I can't wait for what else we are still going to experience together. So happy 5th birthday to the Clement Manyathela Show. At 10 o'clock, we're going to try and break it down for you. This war in the SAPS. It's not a coincidence that the police's top brass are throwing allegations at each other. It's not a coincidence that they're laying criminal charges against each other. But I want you to understand the link these individuals that General Mkhwanazi has mentioned, like Brown Bohotsi and Vusi Matlala, the links they have to the police minister and the deputy commissioner Shadrack Sibiya. What do we know about these individuals, and how much of this war has everything to do with the race to be the next police commissioner? Hey? That's what we're going to be looking at 10 o'clock. 10:30, we're going to start a new series today. I'm really excited about this series. We're going to spend the next few weeks looking at successful land restitution cases. We need to understand our history in as far as land dispossession is concerned. And we need to understand the resilience and fighting spirit of communities that have been dispossessed of their land, that ultimately got their land back and transformed it into a source of pride and empowerment. And I know we often criticize government for the slow land restitution program, but that doesn't mean that there are no pockets of success. And I want us to highlight those pockets of success. I mean, we have a painful history in this country that includes the reality of land dispossession. There are many people that are still awaiting redress due to the slow progress in land reform since the end of apartheid. And the land restitution program that has sought always to restore land rights to people who were forcefully removed from their land under racially discriminatory apartheid-era laws and practices, right, has actually not done an incredible job, because the disposition of the land continues to determine the prospects of millions of South Africans. And we can talk about, what the statistics say to prove that our land reform programs has not been rosy. Right? Back in 2018, the Rural Development and Land Reform commissioned a land audit report. The country's majority population, Black Africans, own at the time the smallest percentage of the country's private land. I think it was at around 5 or so percent. Indians at 5%, colored people at 15%, white people at 72%. Since the government has tried to prioritize the settlement of land claims, that's a success that was made in 2018. That's not rosy at all. So it's not been looking good, but there are some pockets of success. And today we're going to start by looking at the Makuleke community in Limpopo. They've partnered with SAPS to form top-of-the-range game reserves and nature conservation endeavors that benefit the community. And this community has such a fascinating story that I really want you to hear, because they were forced off their land back in 1969, right? And at the time, they were extending the Kruger National Park northwards to Limpopo. Their removal was a forced one, and the community had to settle in their current area next to the Kruger National Park and rebuild their lives. But then later, in the late 90s, the land was returned to the Makuleke community, and they chose to live it with the Kruger Park system and use it to generate development funds and jobs. So how have they turned that into something that can empower their own communities. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. And then we're going to wrap up the show at 11 o'clock with our Family Matters feature. Today we're going to try and understand the so-called mama's boy phenomena and mother-son enmeshment, right? Mama's boy is often used as a slang to describe a man who has an unhealthy dependence on his mother well into adulthood, when he's expected to be independent and self-reliant. And I know the term has since reclaimed in recent years to indicate a boy or a man who appreciates, respects, admires, or is close with his mother. So I want us to look at, in fact, both, but more primarily, some gentlemen out there who are still so dependent on their mothers, right? They can never, even when they're in love, mom must still approve. If mom is not happy with the house I want to buy, they're so dependent on their mother's love and relationship that they're not breaking out to be adults they should be. What are the causes of that mama's boy syndrome? And what consequences does it have for your relationships in the future? And I'm sure some of you are listening and thinking, oh goodness, I myself am dating a mama's boy. We're going to talk about that at 11 o'clock. That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
Clement Manyathela, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Morning, Clement. Mapari report. Mkhwanazi is speaking, is honest, really. There's a lot of higher echelon people who have the powers. I remember Tolani from Moja Love. He was on the way to grab someone, and then they got a call and say, hey, Muna, the person you go in there is highly connected. Please stop and turn back. So it shows that those drug dealers have really have the police under their pockets, the high echelons, and the politicians also. So yeah, he's right to speak about it now.
Good morning, Clement. I'm taking note of the revelations by General Mkhwanazi as an ordinary citizen. This guy is not just an ordinary policeman or detective, but he's a general with more than 30 or 20 years experience within the police. He's sitting among the top brass in the police services. So what he says as an ordinary citizen, I take note. I'm not sure about the police minister because he was never a police. So he's just been parachuted to be a police. And these other generals, but what he says as an impact and as a citizen, I take note. What to believe or not to believe will be revealed later. And I'm wondering the actions by the police, the commissioner of police, what he released in public and what the president was saying. But I'm worried.
Clemmy Moreman, Flores here from the beautiful Western Cape. Clemmy, let me tell you, Mkhwanazi, I think it's extremely bold from him to come out and lay it all out on the table. Man, this is a guy that has credibility, and I believe him that there are some sinister things going on, and I hope that he will just stay rooted and not back down because people are going to come for him. Yeah, have a good show. Bye-bye.
I actually think that he probably knew something was going to happen to him, and that's why he took the action that he took yesterday, which is why I was asking earlier, I think he's reacting to something. The question is, what is he reacting to? Was there perhaps an imminent arrest? And I hope that those are the details that will come up sometime this week, because it's open warfare and it's not looking good for us. It's not looking good for this country. And all of us need to be concerned. So the KZN police commissioner, if you've missed what happened yesterday, has made claims about the police's top officials. So in a nutshell, he says there are criminals who are controlling some of the top police officials. He claims that the police minister is bankrolled by a criminal who has been arrested, that the police minister took decisions like the disbanding of the political killings task team to benefit his criminal associates, because the special task force that investigated political killings were uncovering some serious corruption in the SAPS and criminal syndicates. So he claims there's a crime syndicate that's controlled by a drug cartel that involves politicians, law enforcement members, business people, prosecutors, and the judiciary, which I think is a wild claim to make. And I hope that the allegations that this security agency has been captured will be investigated ASAP. I mean, I've seen before, like, people who are frustrated by the judiciary and they'll just make claims like that. And then there's never really evidence that comes forth. And I think it's a wild claim to make unless you've got something to back it up. And I hope that General Mkhwanazi, especially this aspect, because he read us messages that I think are sufficient enough to make us concerned about the relationship that the police minister or his associates have with people that have been arrested, people that are seemingly on the eye of the SAPS, people that are being investigated. Now, before I play the clips of what General Mkhwanazi said yesterday, let me remind you of something so that you look at what happened with context. Did you see that General Mkhwanazi arrived yesterday at that briefing in such a dramatic form? So there's a group of heavily armed men in combat gear that arrived at the briefing with him. They appeared live on television. In fact, you'd be forgiven for having thought that there's a coup d'etat when you watch that, given what we've seen on this continent, whenever there's security forces that are overthrowing governments. That's how they appear. But he probably wanted to send a serious message that perhaps bring it on. I'm ready to fight. But something to consider here that's very important is that the National Police Commissioner, General Fanima Semula, is going to be leaving office, right, at some point. And as a result, the race to succeed him has actually been heating up for some time now. And I suspect that what we are seeing now has everything to do with the race to succeed the National Commissioner. Because there's been speculation that there are two front runners for the position of National Police Commissioner. And those two people are the people that are fighting right now. General Mkhwanazi and General Shadrack Sibiya. Is it a coincidence that the two people we've heard in police circles are the front runners to replace the National Police Commissioner are throwing allegations against each other? General Mkhwanazi and Shadrack Sibiya. But also the police minister, Senzo Mchunu, is apparently planning to contest the presidential position in the ANC. His name has been mentioned several times by some in the ANC. So what's really at play here? We have an SAPS that is weak. The trust deficit between the police and the members of the public is at its weakest. We don't need them to be fighting like this, because we are the ones that ultimately are going to be affected. I think there's something bigger here. And I'm saying that General Mkhwanazi's allegations, of course, they've got to be investigated. I hope as soon as possible. The messages that he read between the minister's associates and someone being investigated who received the SAPS tender, those things are concerning. And there better be action if they are proven to be true. But I'm saying there's something bigger here that you and I may not understand. People that are fighting for something and now they're using all these charges, all these claims to throw at each other. It's not a coincidence that just 2 weeks ago there was a front page that the National Police Commissioner was going to be arrested. It's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that the crime intelligence boss was arrested at the airport. When? Was it 4-5 weeks ago? He's now out on bail alongside some senior colleagues in the police. That's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that we heard rumors of the police minister potentially being arrested. It's not a coincidence that the KZN police commissioner was being investigated at some point. So I'm saying there's something bigger here. We've seen this happen before in crime intelligence where they start fighting each other. The state resources are even used to target political opponents. And I think that's precisely what we have observed here. I think that's what we are observing here. with General Mkhwanazi and General Shadrack Sibiya, with the police minister, with the National Police Commissioner. There's a bigger fight here that's unfolding, and unfortunately, we are the ones that are going to be affected. Tabogo, you're calling us from Tshwane. How do you read this? Good morning.
Good morning, Clement, and good morning to the listeners. You know what? I want to believe that there is something much bigger at play here. And General Mkhwanazi stated that there's a target on top police brass. So I think he's aware of what is about to happen to him. I think he's aware that they would either sanction him, they would either suspend him or arrest him. So yesterday was too strategic for him. You know, a lot of these guys were not there. They were out focusing on Didi's funeral, and that might be the only opportunity that he had to speak openly about what they have uncovered in the police force. So he's actually putting it out there so that, you know, the public is aware that whatever that may happen to him. General Mkhwanazi even said, you know, eventually we all are going to die. So he's aware of the threats. The WhatsApps that he's been receiving from the gentleman in the Northwest. Those are enough threats for him to then realize that the target on the police top brass is serious. The police commissioner has been threatened with the arrest, and the Khumalo guy has been arrested. You know, this drug cartel thing is serious, and they are dismantling the police force so that they are able to control it. They are targeting the people that are standing in their way. Why would the minister issue an instruction to disband a unit that was formed by the president, and disbanding it not through the police commissioner but through the deputy national commissioner?
Well, the position the deputy national commissioner makes is that, in fact, Abel, do you have that clip of Shadrack Sibiya where he was on the SABC, I think, yesterday, and he seems to suggest that task force was behaving like a law unto itself. So they were now playing politics, right? So he even claims that the IPID, and I asked the producers to check with IPID, but they didn't want to come on the show. He claims that IPID is already investigating about 4 cases involving that task team, because that task team has been playing politics. That's what he claims, and that's perhaps is one of the reasons why they've decided to disband it, and they say the members of the special task force must go to their individual units back into the SAPS.
Why did that instruction not go through the national commissioner? Because these are his subordinates that he's got to deal with. He's the one that is accountable to the political body, and anything that has to be an instruction that goes down to operation has to go through the national commissioner.
Yeah, Tabogo, got you. Let's hear what the other listeners think. I think you make a fair point. Of course, the question will be asked about what was the process to disband this task team, and what work has been done, because General Mkhwanazi says there's a lot of success that's been registered here. And because certain people who are close to the Minister of Police or are associates of the Minister of Police have been arrested, then boom, the police minister wants this to be disbanded. Kustas, you're calling from Midrand. What do you think?
Yeah, good morning, Clement. Clement, I'm calling to show support to General Mkhwanazi. And I think that we have a problem in South Africa, Clement, that when a whistleblower comes forward, the first thing that South Africa does is to crucify that whistleblower instead of supporting that whistleblower, giving them all the confidence. I'm looking at this, Clement, that business leadership South Africa and Vusi are quiet at the time when an unprecedented commissioner comes forward and makes such serious allegations. So right now, he needs all the protection he can get, because we know drug cartels, Clement, are running countries in this world. So he's only one man who's a shining light to the darkness that is going on in the SAPS. So I'm suggesting, Uti, I want to say to him, we support him, we stand behind him, we urge the president to do what is right. We are willing to go to the streets, Clement, to make sure that this man does not get suspended for telling us what he told us, because that's the next thing that they're going to do. So I'm suggesting that, Clement, that let's do what is right with whistleblower like General Mkhwanazi this time around. Business leadership must come to the party. Vusi must come to the party and stop being quiet. We appreciate all the other political parties who have come forward to stand with him. We stand with him in return. So we will support him all the way. Thanks for taking my call.
All right, Kustas in Midrand willing to go to the streets to support the KZN Police Commissioner. I really want to test the allegations. Well, not me, but I hope investigations are going to test the allegations, not just the allegations that General Mkhwanazi is making against the police minister and Shadrach Sibiya, but also the allegations that General Sibiya is making against this task force that was overseen by General Mkhwanazi. As I said here, we need to be very careful here because it's easy for us to just also take sides. I mean, I'm impressed with the work General Mkhwanazi has done in KZN. In fact, the police minister can't deny that. The National Police Commission, even Shadrach Sibiya, who's fighting with Mkhwanazi, will never deny the incredible work that General Mkhwanazi has done in KwaZulu-Natal. But just know that when these guys are fighting, sometimes they're going to throw allegations at each other. And yes, allegations, some of which may be true, but primarily they do that for the purpose of a bigger fight. And I'm suggesting to you this morning that there's something bigger at play here. There's something bigger you and I may not be aware of. And it may very well be about who becomes the next police commissioner. Because these two people who are primarily fighting against each other have been mentioned many times as the front runners to potentially replacing Fani Masemola as national commissioner. So the fight is now getting messy and messy. And we, as South Africans, are going to pay the price for that. It's 9:32. Sfiso has the latest in Eyewitness News headlines. Hi.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. The Institute for Security Studies has described the infighting within the South African Police Service as a setback in the quest to rebuild public confidence in policing. Head of Justice and Violence at the Institute, Gareth Newham, says allegations of political interference in police matters are both shocking and disappointing. His comments come a day after KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi went public with damning allegations against Police Minister Senzo Mchunu and other high-ranking officials. Today marks the start of a week-long national period of mourning for former Deputy President David Mabuza. Mabuza died at the age of 64 last week following a short illness in hospital. And a jury in Australia has found a woman guilty of cooking deadly mushroom lunch that killed 3 of her relatives and left another seriously ill. Erin Peterson's in-laws, Don and Gail Peterson, both 70 years old, along with Gail's sister Heather Wilkinson, all fell ill and died days after the lunch. And those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 10 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, traffic at this moment is a bit slow on the N3 North. This is between Van Buren Road and the Kilulis interchange. Heading towards the Kilulis turn off, do expect delays on the R24 West and travelling in the Midrand area. Slight backup really approaching Olifantsfontein Road. Please be on the lookout there and approach with care. City of Tshwane, some issues on the R80 East Mabopane Highway as you approach the Matlatla Road exit, and that's due to faulty traffic lights along this route. So please be on the lookout there and drive with care. More updates at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
That EWN Traffic was brought to you by cars.co.za. Let's find what moves you.
Do you want to buy a Honda? Cars.co.za. Toyota or Mahindra? Cars.co.za. Do you want to sell a Cherry? Cars.co.za. Suzuki or Mercedes? Cars.co.za. Polo, Kia, Mitsubishi, Havel, Hyundai, Lamborghini. Buy and sell, it's very easy. All you got to do is type cars.co.za. 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 Let's find what moves you. Cars.co.za. Cars.co.za.
Choose your health. Choose Clicks with a wide range of self-medication savings such as Gen Pain 30 capsules, 82 Rand 99, ACCC 100, 600, 10 effervescent tablets for 163 Rand, and Underlex C oral spray 50 milliliters for 21 rand. Fight the flu with Clicks Winter Wellness Remedies to relieve symptoms and boost immunity. Choose your health. Choose Clicks. Feel good, pay less.
Are you looking for the best savings on spectacles? At Specsavers, enjoy 1,500 Rand off when you get tested at South Africa's trusted and most established optical group. Get 1,500 Rand off all frames in store, or use your 1,500 Rand off on our leading lens enhancements, such as drive light lenses that reduce artificial glare whilst driving. Book online or call your nearest store today. Affordable eye care, Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
When it comes to protecting your workforce, trust the workwear brand that has been protecting workers for over 150 years, Sweetall. Sweetall has overalls and uniform solutions for every industry, so your team is safe, comfortable, and ready to tackle any challenge. Visit our new Boksburg showroom, shop A1 Atlas Road, Westwood, Boksburg, or go to sweetall.com today. Sweetall, we never let you down. Superior protective workwear since 1871.
Looking for real ways to live greener? Then don't miss the Green Tip of the Week, your weekly dose of sustainable inspiration. From eco-entrepreneurs to climate champions, we sit down with the people making real change. Catch Green Tip of the Week every Tuesday on Afternoon Drive with John Pellman, 3 to 6 p.m. only on 702. Proudly brought to you by Volvo. It's safe to be brave with Volvo.
You could binge watch a third season this weekend. Or you could grab the new Berry Blue sports drink from Makuleke and get moving. Blue has never tasted so good. Bursting with bold berry flavor, packed with electrolytes and vitamins, and free from colorants. Makuleke sports and power drinks. Let's move.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
On 702.
23 minutes before 10 o'clock.
Morning, Clement and the listeners. Happy 5-year anniversary to you and your show. You are doing a great, sterling work. Keep on doing the great work. And yeah, we are vouching and rooting for you. This is the Runners Podcast with Rotogolo.
Hi, Clement. This is Tabang from Florida. Look, Clement, I disagree with the Piastri and Norris thing that you are suggesting because of, think about it. Before they gave Piastri a time penalty, right, 10-second penalty, Lando Norris was like, 3 or 4 seconds behind him. So for us to have had a race, Lando had to catch up to Piastri. So now they gave him the 10 penalty. Okay, we can argue that it was fair or unfair, right? But then we're saying, okay, they gave him the penalty, Norris is number one. But we're saying, okay, let them race. So if they swap, it's unfair to Norris because now you're punishing him for what happened to Piastri. Rather, Piastri, all he had to do was catch up because of after the 10-second penalty, he was like, 4 or 5 seconds behind. I mean, why can't we use the same that we're going to use to Lando?
No, I hear you. I just think that as a team, sometimes you have to take the bullet collectively. So equally so, if it was Lando Norris who was given a 10 seconds penalty for erratic driving behind a safety car. I mean, a lot of the drivers, guys, come on. Don't you see a lot of drivers do that a lot, side to side? They do that a lot when there is a safety car. To get a 10 seconds penalty on that, and I think as a team, a decision could be taken that was unfair. We both recognize that. Whoever the driver could have been, we are going to give them back that position and then let the racing continue. Like, that's my view. I hear what you're saying. I just think it could have been dealt with that particular way. But that's how that's how McLaren decided to deal with it, which was still great because they still got 1-2. They're still doing really well in as far as drivers' championship, the two guys really competing hard, but also the Constructors' Championship, 20 minutes before 10.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
On 702.
Taboko, you're calling us from Pretoria. What do you think is happening here based on what General Mkhwanazi said yesterday? Good morning.
Yeah, Clement. This is a drama
drama series that we're watching here. Look, I was listening to the last. I think it must be the last caller. That's Kustas.
Yeah.
Kustas saying we are going to do this. We are going to take it to the streets. We are going. That's exactly what Mkhwanazi is looking for. That's exactly so that there should be disturbance. There should be disorder. There should be all those things. Just he's playing a victim here. Look, don't make a mistake with me. I'm a big fan of Mkhwanazi. There's any work that he's been doing, but this really disappointed me. Mkhwanazi, it's out of his character to publicize what he's doing. He's usually a person who works, behind the scenes, and when he comes out with a stunning results. He doesn't now. This press briefing that was called, it was like something is chasing him behind.
There's something coming.
Something coming, and maybe that you sort of untangled so many knots for me as I was listening to you. I was just not sure what to put my finger on, because what I knew was there is something coming. Absolutely. But now the picture that we have painted about the contest of the police commissioner position, it now made it clear for me, and the style that Mkhwanazi is playing, he's playing exactly like the Zuma style of playing a victim and then having a huge support from the public and knowing exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, and it's worked for him before, right? Remember, General Mkhwanazi has faced claims of extrajudicial killings, right? When he's got his cops who just go and when they are going to arrest people, they shoot people, and there are people who get caught in the crossfire. Sometimes we hear those people were not even firing back at the police. So there have been claims of his police officers being involved in extrajudicial killings. And what he has done in the past is to try and rile up members of the public. So he already has that. He knows how to play the public sympathy game. And that's not to say, Tabogo, someone must not then interpret us as we are against Mkhwanazi. I'm just saying, guys, trust me, when things happen like this, don't just look at them at face value. There are bigger fights that happen behind the scenes. And that's why I tried to give that context earlier on.
Yeah. And he's just mentally preparing us for whatever is coming so that, we should swing to his side when it comes out.
I mean, imagine there's a report tomorrow that comes out that says, that links Mkhwanazi to the misconduct of police officers in KwaZulu-Natal. Exactly. Members of the public are going to say, oh, no, you are taking him because yesterday. And even if the police say, no, we've had this report since 2 months ago, or it's not going to work. Yeah. Tabogo, let's see what happens, man. I just think we need context all the time. All the time. Don't just take things at face value. There are bigger fights that happen here that we may not be aware of. There's going to be a next police commissioner. That's a powerful position. Any minister of police needs a national police commissioner who gets along with them. That's why, who was it? Bekicele fought with, who was the former one? Bekicele fought with that other national police commissioner, Kehla Sithole. Kehla Sithole, what happened to Kehla Sithole? Ended up leaving. There was Khomotso Pahlane. Remember Khomotso Pahlane? They went to his house. Oh, interesting, because I'm actually getting a call from Bekicele right now. Okay. So, this is so funny, because I just mentioned him and my phone is ringing. So, that's what happens. That's what happens when a police minister doesn't get along with a police commissioner. Complex. It's never going to work. And we've seen it before. That's why the former police commissioners, Khomotso Pahlane, they went, took him to court. He appeared in court. They went to his house. That's always going to happen. And sometimes police officers are throwing these allegations at each other. Why? Not because they really care about justice, but because they are fighting a fight. And I'm trying to ask myself, based on that dramatic press briefing yesterday, I mean, I do think it was way too dramatic to be walking in at a press briefing with heavily armed police officers in combat gear. What are you trying to say? It's dramatic. It was meant to send a message. And I think the message has been sent. But what are they fighting behind the scenes? That has got nothing to do with me and you. That really has got nothing to do with justice and pushing criminals out. That's what I'm asking myself. And that doesn't delegitimize the claims that have been made. Those claims must be investigated. And if it's found that the police minister somehow is linked to criminal elements, why is he a police minister? He must go out. He must leave. He must be fired. But equally so, don't be too quick to fall on the bandwagon of people who are trying to go for public sympathy. Always ask the question of what is at play here. Tulu, you're calling from Montana in Pretoria. Hi.
Hi, Clement. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you very much. But look, in this instance, I always believe that everybody's got the right to defend themselves. But in most cases, politicians will always defend themselves, but hardly then the story falls away in terms of the wrongdoing. So we most times concentrate on the defense rather than what is being put on the table. So the issue is then that we question, not to say that Mkhwanazi cannot be questioned, but we may question the motive of the person who put the story out there rather than the allegations.
Mm-hmm.
You know, rather than concentrate on the allegations and say, okay, besides the role players here are the allegations. Let's focus on these allegations.
Mm.
And then after that, allow the people to defend themselves.
Yeah. Yes. No, I agree. I absolutely agree, which is why my first thing, Tulu, is these claims being made are so serious. And Mkhwanazi was able to even read WhatsApp messages, communications between the minister's associate, this Bohotsi gentleman, messages between this Bohotsi gentleman, who's an associate of the minister, we are told, and this man known as Cat, Vusi Matlala, who has since been arrested by the police. Someone who used to receive tenders from the Tembisa hospital, someone who received a tender from the police, 300 million rand, which was apparently ultimately cancelled. And that's when he threatened, I'm going to go to the media and expose all of this, because clearly he wasn't given what he needed. And Mkhwanazi also said, there's also evidence of this guy who was arrested, Vusi Matlala, sending proof of payment to Bohotsi, who's an associate of the police minister. Mkhwanazi claims that even the accommodation at the January 8 was paid for by this guy who's been arrested for the ANC comrades, including the Minister of Police. Those are serious. They've got to be investigated and action must be taken. So nobody dismisses that. I'm just saying that have foresight. Just know that this is not just about this. There are often bigger fights behind what we can just glaringly see at face value. And I always go further. Whenever something happens, whether it's in politics or the president doesn't want to take action against a certain minister, I go further and I ask questions behind the scenes. What's going on? What's their relationship? What's at play? What does it have? Does it have anything to do with politics? The last conference, the next conference. That's what I've learned over the years of doing this job. And I've realized that there are certain things that come up that we are not aware of because we're too caught up on this is what we got at face value. Let's go to Simon, who's calling us from Midrand. Simon, what are your thoughts? Good morning.
Clement, thank you so much for the opportunity. First and foremost, I fully concur with you to say we need to be open-minded in approaching this issue because there could be other ulterior motives, and hence the context is very key. However, I think the reason why General Mkhwanazi seems to be receiving an attention of the majority of individuals on the ground is because what basically Mkhwanazi is saying resonates with the realities that as citizens we are experiencing. For an example, in Midrand, in the police station, right? Not so long ago, I had a chat with one of the police officers, and then I began to ask general questions around why is it that some of the crimes that are committed, especially the serious ones, don't seem to be receiving the attention they deserve. And the response that I got from that police officer, whose name I will mention, she simply said to me, look, you come out of the school after your training as a police officer, fired up, willing to serve the community. You get placed into a particular station, and then upon your arrival, when you start investigating, maybe you see there's some criminal activities occurring, when you start wanting to get involved, then you are told by the station commander, look, you can't investigate that case, right? And apart from that, there's a shop opposite Boulders where the people who are working, they were telling me, look, here they are selling drugs, and there's always police vans that are coming to collect the money so that the guys can easily operate without being interrupted. And then you now have a Mkhwanazi who gives a context of what's happening, which then when you look at it on the ground level, resonates. I fully agree to say, exactly, I fully agree that every allegation has to be tested. Its validity must be tested. But what this guy is saying, many people on their communities, given even the fact that people have reported cases which go nowhere, what that guy says versus what we experience as the public of South Africa on the ground resonates.
And there's a link between what's happening there at the top and, as you say, what's happening there on the ground. Simon, I got you. I just need to take a quick ad break now. Teenage, Bongani, MJ, I see your calls. I'll start with them after this.
Dear Journal, trying to be an adult at 3,469. Just had a fantastic 2-hour meeting. It was so productive that we accomplished nearly as much as I could have done with one well-written email.
Hating the corporate 9 to 5? Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's easy and like 19 Rand a day, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
Corporates That Care promotes and encourages corporate leaders and citizens to walk the talk for a better South Africa. Catch Corporates That Care this Wednesday at 10 to 9 featuring SA Home Loans. Their CEO, Rob Kelso, will be in conversation with Bongani Binga. Join us every Wednesday as we highlight the efforts of companies and brands dedicated to building our country. Corporates That Care is a Prime Media Cares initiative with 702 and Prime Media Outdoor. 702, let's walk the talk and make a difference together.
Dreaming of a tropical escape? World Leisure Holidays has your ticket to paradise with exclusive getaways to the Indian Ocean Islands. From the beaches of Mauritius and the Maldives to the charm of Madagascar, Seychelles, Zanzibar and more, your dream destination awaits. Take advantage of early bird specials and pay stay offers. Call 011-285-2500 and mention 702 for a mystery discount. Or follow us on social media or contact your nearest travel professional. Start planning your escape today. T's and C's apply.
Your voice. Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Teenage, you're in Cosmos City. Good morning.
Hey, Clement.
Shoshoman, go ahead.
Tell me, is it the first time that you guys see police doing press conference with firearms? Or firearms, rather?
Yes, it's the first time that you've got people in combat gear holding heavy weapons like that behind a police officer who's holding a press briefing. When last did you see that?
No, what's wrong with it?
No, you asked, is it the first time? Have you seen it before?
Yeah. I've seen it a lot of times.
When?
Everywhere in the world, please.
When?
Like,
in South Africa? When? Have you ever seen a police
what
commissioner or Mpumalanga Northwest police commissioner coming to do a press briefing?
I'm asking, why is it a problem?
No.
He's a special task force member. He's got police. He's got all management of his office on front of the TV. What's wrong with it?
Because that's not how press briefings are held. That's like, imagine Cyril Ramaphosa, who is the commander-in-chief of the SANDF, suddenly wearing SANDF clothes with 6 SANDF members with heavy weaponry behind him, and he's addressing the nation about... What? Are we not going to...
General Mkhwanazi is a qualified special task force member.
I know.
Yeah, and then what's wrong with him having a press conference with policemen?
Why hasn't he done this before then with other press conferences?
There's nothing wrong for the first time. What's wrong with the first time?
What is the reason for him doing it this first time?
Why are we looking for a reason? Why are we playing the man, not the ball?
You're playing the ball. Yeah, teenage. No. I think let's not make a mistake here, right? Because I can see where this is going now is people are vilifying Mkhwanazi. I'll tell you this. I don't think there's anybody who's perfect here. So there's nobody who's beyond criticism here. And that's why I didn't even talk about how he arrived at the briefing first. The first thing I spoke about was the allegations he makes, because I do think that they're very serious and need to be attended, right? That's the first thing. That's what we must prioritize. The second thing is I am going to look at the optics, because the optics matter to me. I can bet you right now, Mkhwanazi didn't just wake up and say, oh, I miss my special forces uniform. Let me just wear that and rock up at the briefing. There's a reason he wore that uniform. There's a reason he brought with him those 6 or 5 men who were holding heavy weapons. And you and I will be naive to watch that and think it is of no substance.
It's a normal attire of a task force to be like that. There's nothing wrong. It's a police gear. It's not some men. It's special task force members who came on a press briefing accompanying their general. What's
and you
wrong?
think there's no messaging there? He just missed his uniform.
No, it's a press briefing of a policeman.
No, but he's never worn it before. So what? Today, yesterday he just thought, oh, let me change my uniform today.
Yes, what's wrong? Why are you so deep into let's deal with the object and then whatever that comes after is fine, no problem. But let's just concentrate on, like Paul O'Sullivan, the man who's got powerful whatever in this country, but he's not even a police.
Yeah.
Now, he's saying that guy is not even a task force member. But he's the first one who knows everything about police, but doesn't even know that Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi is a task force member.
I think I know he's a task.
Wrong.
Yeah. All right, Teenage Cosmo City. Thank you for your thoughts. I hear what you're saying. I just disagree. I think there's context there. That's what I'm looking at. You know, he can wear, of course, the police uniform. Does he often come rock up the uniform and come with people holding heavy weapons at a press briefing live on television? I've not seen that before. And I'm not saying it's wrong or right. I'm saying that is telling us something. And those optics actually do matter. Let's go to Bongani in Pretoria. Bongani, hi.
Hey, how are you, sir?
Sure. Go ahead.
I'm fine. I want to say my 2 point there. What I see now, Mkhwanazi doesn't want the national post.
Mm-hmm.
It's good there at provincially at the moment. It doesn't want the national point.
Mm-hmm.
And he said by himself and said, you know what, a police and a criminal will never be peace.
Will never be peace, yeah.
Yeah, will never be peace. Because he believed that the people who are the 2 people that he's talking about, they are criminals. Or they are in hand with crimes, with criminals. He believed that, and he did bring some files. He was not just talking out of nowhere. He brings files. The files that were supposed to be you as a presenter talking more about it. You are talking more about the man. That the man is playing a chess game. You want something. That's why he's doing this, because you want something. You want to post. Zuma did it. Whatever. No, it's not like it doesn't need a post. For me, when I look at things, it doesn't need that post.
Okay, Bongani in Pretoria, thank you for your thoughts. Look, you are welcome to have a linear approach and assessment on situations. I don't operate like that. That's not how I've operated, even as a political journalist. I've always looked at things with context. And again, let's not shift the goalposts. I started this comment when I started the show and I said, General Mkhwanazi makes some really serious claims that are so concerning. They must be investigated ASAP. Because if that's true, then the people being fingered here, action must be taken against them. There's no question about that. That's the first thing I mentioned at the top. Later on, I'm giving you the context now. I'm saying, stop looking at things without context. There could either be here criminal underworld dynamics we don't know about that are fighting each other through the people in power. There could very well be the issue of the next police commissioner, because these are the people I have heard myself are the front runners. People mention them to be the people who can take over from Fanima Semola. I've also mentioned Senzo Mchunu is someone who may be running for ANC president in the ANC. Could this have anything to do with everything else that's happening? Possibly. But context helps us do a thorough assessment of situations. What I've learned in the past is don't just take things at face value. What you hear the president announce, what you hear a police commissioner announce, as legitimate as that can be, there's often a bigger fight playing out behind the scenes. I'm just saying, be open to that idea. Or be naive and take whatever you see and run with it. It's a minute before 10.
702 delivers
on the matters that matter to you.
I am Alula Madlamini, an avid Talk Radio 702 listener. have been listening since way back when it was medium wave all the way till now. Talk Radio 702 is, it forms part of the network of what my life is made up of, from God to my family to my joy. 702 is my magazine of life. The depth and width of knowledge, from fun to spiritual knowledge and fulfillment. So I find everything on 702, so much that it is the only radio station that I listen to from Monday to Sunday. I am totally sold out on Talk Radio 702.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
So we can deliver more on what matters to you.
702 listens.
Let's walk the talk.
When selling a car, there's nothing worse than a long, frustrating process. We Buy Cars knows life's short and time is precious. Sell your car within a day from wherever you find it convenient. Simply complete the online form and We Buy Cars will make it happen. Need a new ride? Explore thousands of vehicles online or in-store. We Buy Cars, South Africa's trusted vehicle partner.
It took time to create the life you've built. Every milestone, every moment, you've earned it. Indra takes the time to understand what's priceless to you, tailoring insurance to match a life of distinction. True peace of mind comes from knowing that everything you've worked for is insured with precision. It starts with a conversation. It starts with helloindra.co.za. Indra Risk Services is an authorized financial services provider.
Hey besties, welcome to my kitchen tour, or should I say my new walk-in wardrobe. Over here we have the pantry, now home to my jeans and shirts, all color-coded. Oh, and the air fryer, literally the perfect place for my makeup brushes. And who would have thought, the oven is the place to store my handbags.
Who needs a kitchen? Simply spend 200 Rand or more and you could win Simply Asia for a year. T's and C's apply. Simply Asia, connecting the Thai-way.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. The Institute for Security Studies has described the infighting within the South African Police Service as a setback in the quest to rebuild public confidence in policing. Head of Justice and Violence at the Institute, Gareth Newham, says allegations of political interference in police matters are both shocking and disappointing. His comments come a day after KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi went public with damning allegations against Police Minister Senzo Mchunu and other high-ranking officials. Mkhwanazi claims there is a powerful organized criminal syndicate operating across the country's crime-fighting institutions. Newham says allegations of this magnitude need to be a subject of an inquiry.
Had the government implemented its own recommendations in the National Development Plan, which came out in 2012, which identified the crisis of top management in the South African Police Service as a key issue that needed to be urgently addressed. If they addressed that issue back in 2012, we wouldn't be here today.
The NPA is today expected to present the final charge sheet in the 27 million rand corruption case involving former ANC national spokesperson Pule Mabe. Mabe, along with 6 others, will be appearing in the Johannesburg Specialized Commercial Crimes Court sitting in Palm Ridge this morning. They are charged with several counts of fraud, money laundering and contraventions of the Public Finance Management Act. The charges relate to a 2017 tender scored by Mabe's company to supply 203 wheeler motorbikes to waste pickers in Ekurhuleni. Tabiso Goba has more.
It's been 9 months since Pule Mabe and his co-accused made their first court appearance. During that time, Mabe has effectively paused his political career. His legal representative, Zola Majavu, says the former member of parliament is unhappy with the delays in the case.
He's not very happy, but he doesn't locate himself above the law. It's not a nice thing to be subjected to court processes with your wife. The toll is taking on them is unbearable, but that is how the legal cookie crumbles, and they have to be here and stick it out like everyone else.
At this stage, it's common knowledge the Gauteng government paid the full amount for the 3-wheeler bikes. However, not all of them were delivered. All 7 accused have indicated they intend on pleading not guilty. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
And today marks the start of a week-long national period of mourning for former Deputy President David Mabuza. Mabuza died at the age of 64 last week following a short illness in hospital. He rose through the ANC ranks to become the party's deputy president in 2017 and the country's second in charge the following year until 2023. President Cyril Ramaphosa says Mabuza will be honored in a state funeral category 2 on Saturday. And the presidency spokesperson, Vincent Makwenya, says the national flag will be flown at half-mast at all flag stations around the country until the burial.
The state funeral category 2 is reserved for the Deputy President of the Republic, an acting president, and former Deputy President. The state funeral category 2 is conducted with prescribed military ceremonial honors.
Gold is trading at $3,311.15 an ounce. The rand is at 17.76 to the dollar, 24.17 to the pound, 20.87 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $68.06 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got delays on the N1 North in the city of Tshwane between the Flying Saucer Interchange and Rigel Avenue. There's also queuing traffic along the N3 North towards the Gilulis Interchange. Please be on the lookout.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 17 and 19 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. The Institute for Security Studies has described the infighting within the SAPS as a setback in the quest to rebuild public confidence in the police.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
What are the matters that matter to you?
702 listens.
You're with Clement Manyathela
On 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app,
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
7 minutes after 10 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. Thank you for your contribution on the 702 open line this morning. I didn't even get a chance to play you the clips from yesterday's briefing because I just wanted to take as many calls as possible. Maybe what we'll do is maybe start with some voice notes, Abel, because I didn't play a lot of voice notes. Maybe let's play like some 4 or so voice notes, and then we're going to get into our interviews. And then maybe if we finish before 10:30, then I'll play some of the clips from yesterday when we are done with our interviews. But here's some of the WhatsApp voice notes that came through. I took more calls than I played voice notes in the previous hour. So maybe let's wrap up the open line with this.
Morning, Clement. Clement, obviously, let's dive into it, right? So, firstly, for me, I feel like Mkhwanazi's press briefing just confirmed, what all South Africans, I think we've always known and come to realize, to say why certain crimes not being resolved to date, trafficking, political killings, drugs, extortion, Zama still ongoing now, bribery and corruption, left the land of this country. And all these crimes are thriving because they enjoy protection from police and politicians, Clement. General just confirmed it for all of us, and those looking for Ramaphosa to do something, remember, he has also his skeletons with Palapala. So, yeah, guys, good luck, eh?
Morning 702 radio station. It's Mr. K from Fostoras here. What transpired yesterday from the commission and KwaZulu-Natal, Mkhwanazi, I think there is no smoke without fire. Something is coming out. Those allegations are serious. What he said yesterday, there's something behind. I think he has got information, he has got the evidence on what he said yesterday. But then the truth will prevail. I think it goes on to say the law enforcement of South Africa is not strong enough. But then let's wait and see. It's Mr. K from Fostoras. Sure.
Good morning, Clement. Unfortunately, the state of affairs in South Africa relating to crime is so bad that even if Mkhwanazi is playing us, we'll just go with him because we're so desperate for somebody to do something with the crime. And as for the comments from the ANC Youth League and Balula and, the other ANC people, they thought they can just continue business as usual, but they are trying to say, oh, no, we didn't mean that. But they can see now it's no more business as usual.
Hi, Clement. I think something was about to happen. Either or is still to happen, but now with what General Mkhwanazi already shared yesterday, I don't know. But I feel like it's either he was gonna get arrested or he was gonna get dismissed, or if he gets killed, he wanted the information to be out in the open so that if something happens to him, then the citizens know why. Let's see how the soapy plays out.
Let's see how.
Okay, but it's not really a soapy because these people should be protecting our lives, right?
It's 11 minutes after 10.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702.
All right, let's bring in Jeff Wicks now, who is an investigative journalist with News 24. He has done incredible work reporting about one of the people that were mentioned by Mkhwanazi, General Mkhwanazi, in that briefing yesterday. So Jeff will tell us more about that person and the links that he has to some of the police's top brass as claimed by General Mkhwanazi. Jeff, thank you for making time for us. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. Thank you.
So there are two individuals that General Mkhwanazi mentioned. There's an individual by the name of Brown Bukhosi, whom General Mkhwanazi claims is a close associate of the Minister of Police, Senzo Mchunu. There's another gentleman by the name of Vusi Cat Matlala, whom we are told has been in discussions with Bukhosi, who is in turn an associate of the minister. Just help us understand who these individuals are, and are they really linked from the investigations you've done to some police's top brass?
Yeah, I think, Clement, it's best to start with the cat, Vusi Matlala. He's someone who's been a point of focus for us for a while now. He first appeared on our radar in 2022 when we found that he'd been making money through the Tembisa hospital scandal, first exposed by Babita Deokaran. He had 5 shell companies which were part of a larger extraction syndicate, and that investigation was obviously set in motion by our reporting, but we stayed on him. And Mr. Matlala reinvented himself midway through last year and ended up getting a 360 million rand health services tender from the police, essentially the same organization that's investigating him for procurement fraud in the Tembisa matter is now paying him to do their health services. And he has a range of other problems. I mean, he's found himself on the wrong side of the law, charged in relation to the attempted or botched assassination of his former lover, Tebogo Tobajane. So he's a controversial figure with underworld links that stretch back many years. And I think the point of contention in Mkhwanazi's briefing yesterday was to say that obviously Matlala, with the assistance of this Brown Mahotsi, allegedly, appeared to have been conspiring to disband a political killings task team because they had a lot to lose, specifically Matlala himself, because this was the same team investigating him and the same team that's actually brought him to court and charged him for the botched assassination of his former lover. So scandalous in the extreme.
Okay, so this is the guy, Matlala, who's been arrested. Was that the work that was done by this special task force, the political killings task team?
Yes, indeed. That was the same team that was investigating Matlala.
Okay.
Obviously, the docket is being handled by, and Mkhwanazi spoke to this yesterday, elements of the Gauteng Organised Crime Unit, but then they were augmented by this political killings task team.
Okay.
And the narrative advanced by Mkhwanazi is that obviously the entire team is now collateral damage because they flew too close to the flame with some powerful individuals who called on their political connections and paid to do so.
Okay. There's a 300 million rand tender as well within the SAPS that involves this Matlala chap. Can you tell us more about that? Was it cancelled? Is it still on? What's the story there?
So the 360 million rand health services tender was awarded in June last year to a small company Matlatla founded. He had no experience in the health services industry, and the company was less than 5 years old. Yet it won this nearly 400 million rand tender. And we've been reporting on all the irregularities in that award. And then eventually in May, that contract was cancelled outright. And that cancellation came just days before Matlalla's arrest on the Tobejane matter. And now he still sits in jail awaiting trial, and he'll appear in court on Friday after he abandoned his bail.
What does this tell us? Because Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi yesterday said there's a discussion about this 300 million rand tender between Matlala and Bukhotsi, who is an associate, we are told, of Minister Senzo Mchunu, where Matlala threatened to expose Bukhotsi and go to the media because he's not getting some kind of assistance. It looks like Matlala wanted Bukhotsi to talk to the minister, and the minister must now influence that 300 million rand tender so that it's not cancelled. What did you make of what Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi said yesterday about this communication between Bukhotsi and Matlala about that contract? What does it tell us?
I think it's significant in a sense that it shows us the extent to which Vusi Matlala has political influence and sway, even if it's for a fee. And it also speaks to his access to high-ranking members of the police. I mean, Mkhwanazi said that, Mr. Matlala was one of the first people to get the letter disbanding the political killings task team, and that's incredible. I mean, I thought my sources were good. He's obviously better, but we don't. But we don't pay.
Yeah.
But it tells us that the uppermost ranks of the police, not only in the SAPS but in the ministry, are susceptible to approach and perhaps influence, and that's only on the basis that any of this is true.
Yeah.
What it remains a glaring indictment on the probity and the credibility of the SAPS, and this is a serious problem, borderline crisis, I would say.
Oh, it is indeed. So what does, I mean, if it's proven, and I mean, Jeff, the minister has been asked before whether he knows Bukhotsi, Brown Bukhotsi. If it is proven that the minister knows this chap and they are close associates of sorts, whether comrades or friends, I mean, that would be quite damning, because this is the man who has been in conversation with Vusi Matlala from the conversation, the WhatsApp messages that General Mkhwanazi read yesterday. So that would be quite a big problem for the Minister of Police.
It would be significant, especially considering he's already on record in Parliament as saying he doesn't know this man. So I think that's going to be where the sting comes from the minister. And it's something that was conspicuously absent from his statement yesterday. I mean, he defended his integrity, but he did nothing to explain the link or non-link between him and Mr. Bukhotsi. And I think that's going to be a significant point of focus going forward as the saga unfolds.
All right. Jeff, thank you so much, man, for chatting to us, and great work on just the stories that News 24 has published about. Just go check them out. I'll tweet some of the links, but they did even put up another article this morning on News 24. Go read about this gentleman, because he doesn't just start receiving a tender late last year, the 300 million rand tender from the police. This is someone you can trace back to the contracts that came from the Tembisa hospital. And once again, if it is established that the police minister is a close associate of Brown Bukhotsi, who has been talking to this Vusi Matlala, then that's going to be a big problem for the Minister of Police. I don't know how he is going to explain or get out of that. It's 18 minutes after 10.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702. Let's walk the talk.
All right, let's hear the other side of the story now. Mary de Haas is the KZN violence monitor, and I call it the other side because there were two things that were central to that briefing yesterday. One, these individuals that Jeff Wicks explained to you and how they linked the Minister of Police. But two, it's the issue of the political killings task team. There are claims from Shadrach Sibia, who's the Deputy National Police Commissioner, that this task team was full of people who are now becoming to be a law unto themselves. And that's why a decision was taken that this task team be disbanded and these guys, the special task force members, can go back to their individual units. And then that now becomes a crisis for General Mkhwanazi, who says the reason they're disbanding that task force is because it's investigated and uncovered some really serious stuff that implicates the top brass of the SAPS. Mary de Haas is a KZN violence monitor. We have spoken to Mary many times about the political violence in that province. And Mary, thank you so much for making time for us. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement and listeners.
Yeah, so when this task team was appointed, there was some kind of, well, not excitement, but it was welcomed because the political killings were becoming a crisis. They started doing their work. From what I remember, they appeared to be doing something right, and then something clearly happened. Just can you tell us what your assessment has been of their work?
Yes, I certainly can. Listen, first of all, task teams, I've worked with the police since 1990, right? Task teams were set up in the 90s, for example, to deal with very specific problems, and they were disbanded. They didn't go on for 6 years. No, 6 years now. 2018, almost 7 years. Right. Now, they have a mandate, and that is the mandate was always pretty vague, because I can tell you, even if politicians die, you don't know if it's linked to politics, or if it's a personal thing, or a business thing, or a taxi thing. Okay, but they were supposed to investigate cases that had political. Now, please bear in mind that my database on the political killings was used by the commission, the Morani Commission, right? And I did carry on keeping lists of people with political connections, like in municipalities, senior municipal people, or councillors, or MPs. Now, of those cases, I know of very few that have been solved, right? One that they like to boast about was 6 life sentences for Ntuli. In fact, it's absolutely disgraceful that, and I'll come back to Khumalo now, that's where the overlap is with Mkhwanazi. And Khumalo kind of boasts that, well, he got this conviction. He's not a detective. He's not an intelligence person either. But he was put there by Clearly to head the team because ORS were threatening a rebellion against him. Okay, so he really put him in the political killings team. Right, now that one thing they boasted about was done by Warrant Officer Makuleke from the Hawks, the very one who opened the second docket in the Mayiwa case, which should have been prosecuted. Mm-hmm. Okay, Makuleke got that conviction. They have no right, and they wanted to get him out the task team because this is what they did. Mm-hmm. The minute you expose politicians, they wanted you out or they prosecuted you. And I can give you cases of that. There's a man called Dlamini. He was in the he was in the provincial team that arrested the alleged killers of Sindisa Magaka, prominent ANC leaders. Right. In comes the task team and withdraws the charges against them. Then in comes a prosecutor who's a refugee from Gauteng, where he was warned he better get out, and he has drawn that case out. Right now, as I speak in court today, the man who pulled the trigger has finally managed to make a confession, but he had more to say and he was prevented from saying it by the very prosecution team now. Yeah. Okay. Now that's ongoing. So the people who are widely accused of killing Magaka were let out immediately by the task team. And
what does that say then about the task team, Mary? Because they're
there to cover up. I'm absolutely sure they're here to cover up for politicians, because every case, and I said, look, please remember, I sent this to Parliament last year. I asked for a copy to the Minister. I asked for an investigation into the task team. I produced cases. I mean, one of the things that Mkhwanazi says is, well, he was stopped from investigating syndicates in Gauteng. Well, we know there are syndicates in Gauteng. One of them is going to be in court next week, I think, in this Crasher killing case. It's got nothing to do with Mkhwanazi. It's got nothing to do with his mandate. And this is the other thing I think people don't understand. The mandate relates specifically to politically linked killings. They're taking cases which are not their mandate. They're not supposed to be investigating corruption and organized crime. That's the Hawks. You know the case of the. Do you know the case of the two forensic lawyers in Cape Town? They arrested.
Yeah.
They
So,
went into
Mary,
the
are you suggesting that
and
because
arrested them with balaclavas and
yeah,
rifles, and it's not their job to arrest people for corruption.
and that's what Shadrach Sibia, who is the Deputy Police Commissioner, says. So, are you agreeing with the Deputy Police Commissioner, Shadrach Sibia, in that this task force was becoming a law unto itself?
Yes, absolutely. I've documented it. It's all on record. It's on record with ministers. I'm in a running battle with the NPA to try and get this prosecutor out because of the extensive independent allegations of corruption against him, and he's ruining cases. Did you see the headlines in the Sunday Times yesterday about people buying their way out of being prosecuted? I've been witnessing that in KZN. There's one man. I'll give you one example now. There's a man called Mzindli. He was actually an MK guy who was integrated as a road traffic inspector in the Lower South Coast. He uncovered information about the killing of the man who was the speaker in the Lower South Coast a decade or more ago. His information about who killed that man is exactly the same information that I have. In comes the political killings team and fabricates charges against him of supposed fraud. They were all fairly minor charges. They refuse him bail. They never investigate the killing of the speaker, right? And the Hawks never investigated the corruption allegations he made in the Regenkonyeni municipality.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they put him in prison, and these people who they maliciously arrest are let down by their lawyers. In fact, there are allegations the lawyers are bribed by the prosecution. That man spent 5 years in prison on fairly minor charges compared with murder, attempted murder, kidnapping, supposed fraud or supposed defeating the ends of justice.
Okay.
He spent 5 years in prison. He was almost poisoned in prison. He would have died if another prisoner hadn't eaten his food. And 5 years later, in May, he finally gets to court with a proper lawyer. All the charges against him are withdrawn in terms of the section that there's no evidence.
Yeah. So where does this leave then the task force? Because the police minister disbanded it, in December last year or so. Early this year, General Shadrach Sibia then asked for cases to be transferred to his office, some of the dockets, because now the individual members of the task force must go back to their units. But now, from what I heard in the briefing yesterday by General Mkhwanazi, he seemed to indicate that the work of the task force continues. So is this disbanded or not?
Look, the minister disbanded it officially. You must remember this is illegal. This minister doesn't behave like the last minister. When I saw that briefing, I thought, no, who scripted this? I don't think it was Mkhwanazi. I must tell you, Mkhwanazi, Khumalo, and Masegamola go right back. They're all operational response people, right back to the 90s. Right. They stick up for each other. And I'm saying these are allegations that I just pass on for investigation, including to Scopa, the Auditor General. Local police tell me that Mkhwanazi has been financing the task team operations after the official disbandment from our provincial budget, which is millions overdrawn. There's no food for prisoners in cells. There's no money for petrol. They stay in hotels. Officially disbanded. This is a legal instruction from a minister. I could understand if it was, as with the last minister, he just ran the police and gave illegal instructions. This is a legal instruction. The minister works through the national commissioner, not provincial commissioners. The letter went to the national commissioner. They can't complain that it was never received.
But do you understand, Mary, why it looks suspicious that this task force, and yes, even if maybe they operated outside of their mandate and they investigated corruption, and we can look at that. You've addressed why that is problematic. But do you understand why it's suspicious that after they supposedly uncover something that implicates some police's top brass, and then you see them being disbanded, and then that makes you wonder, that makes you think, what could be at play here? Is it really because they've uncovered something and some associates of the minister are now being looked at, or is it purely because really they haven't been doing their work properly?
It's because they haven't been doing their work. Look, Mkhwanazi's worried about syndicates, and I must tell you this. Syndicates go back to apartheid. They're the ones, the police in the apartheid government ran the drugs in townships in Durban and the Cape Flats. Right. And the syndicates have just gone from strength to strength, and it's not Mkhwanazi's job. We should have another Scorpions-type unit that's completely independent of the police for that. And if Mkhwanazi felt so strongly about syndicates, he could have dealt with the ones in his own backyard at Umhlanga Rocks. That's where all the syndicate people live. They've got the money. They run the drugs all over middle-class areas in Durban. They run them in townships. Mkhwanazi should have been, if he wanted to deal with drugs, as provincial commissioner, but he's not been doing that. No. And why is he going on about Gauteng? No, I mean, look, he can make what allegations he wants, but the problem is it was not his job as a provincial commissioner to have a media briefing. He must open the case if he thinks there's
I think
evidence.
he has opened it against the Minister of Police.
Well, that's fine. And he must go to Parliament because they're the people that oversee the minister, not the media.
Yeah, got it. Mary de Haas, KZN violence monitor, thank you so much for chatting to us. I thought we should bring her on because she has written letters, even I think sometime last year or so, to the police minister, probably to the commissioner as well, to Parliament, raising concerns about the behavior of this political killings task team. And I thought I should bring both these two guests, Jeff and Mary, so that you get this context I'm talking about, that things are not just at face value. Some people are complaining about this task team that Mkhwanazi was overseeing, that it was a law unto itself, and those could either be legitimate concerns or delegitimate concerns. But there's serious questions as well about the individuals that were mentioned by Mkhwanazi who seem to somehow be linked to the Minister of Police. As I said, none of us, this doesn't work for us as South Africa. And I'm glad the President released a statement yesterday. I hope there can be an investigation as soon as possible. And hopefully the Police Minister can appear in Parliament as well to respond to what's been said so far. And if there's a case against him, it better be investigated. Because if this is really true, what was revealed yesterday, we're in a crisis, my friends. It's 10:33. Sviso, hi.
Thanks, Clement. Good morning. In the headlines, National Police Commissioner Fani Masimula says an acting divisional commissioner for crime intelligence will be appointed this week. The unit's head, Dumsani Khumalo, was recently arrested. Khumalo was handcuffed and charged along 6 others in connection with 4 counts of corruption and fraud related to the appointment of an unqualified individual into crime intelligence. The future of Tshwane Municipality City Manager Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi hangs in the balance as the ANC and DA squabble over his appointment. Last month, Gauteng Cooperative Governance MEC Jacob Mamabulo penned a letter to the capital flagging irregularities with the hiring process of Mkhwanazi and other Section 56 managers. And Eskom says the return of Unit 4 at Medupi Power Station is key to ensuring that the coal-fired power plant continues to bolster the country's economic growth and development. The unit came back online last night, almost 4 years after sustaining significant damage in an explosion. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 11 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Traveling on the N3 North, do you expect some delays approaching the Glulies interchange? While on the N12 West, we've got roadworks taking place right near the Glulies turn, of causing delays coming out of Edenville Road. There's also some delays reported along the M2 West heading towards the Mayfair area. Delays between the Crown interchange and Main Reef Road. Please be on the lookout there. We'll have more updates for you at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
Like all the rest of us, you would have been watching the damning allegations by General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi with some concern.
In fact, I am doing a bit of research about what some people call the mafia state and what is going on within this. So I'm reading this within the context of the succession, but I'm also reading it within an environment where corruption is endemic.
Professor Andre Duvenak.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
The South African Future Trust, in partnership with Startup Club ZA, presents the Big Pitch, the first pitch series offering homegrown startups the chance to secure $1 million in investment funding. If you're an entrepreneur looking to propel your business into the big leagues, this opportunity made possible through funding by Oppenheimer Generations is for you. Entries for the Cape Town qualifier open on the 14th of July and close on the 21st of July. The top 10 will pitch live on the 13th of August. Enter at startupclubza.com. In November, the South African Future Summit will return, where the Big Pitch grand finale will take place. Limited early bird tickets are available for 900 Rand. Get yours now at www.summit.southafricanfuturetrust.org.
Zinzi, the Gen Z. Word on the street is you sold your car.
Yes, and I needed a glow up. Hashtag no hustle, no hassle.
So wait. The influencer got influenced by We Buy Cars.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And they came to me. They checked the car, they gave me an offer. Oh, and they paid me immediately. Easier than an Insta Live, without the weird DMs at 2 a.m.
I didn't understand half of the things you just said, but hey, We Buy Cars. Geared for the glow up, geared for you.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
Trade, Industry and Competition Minister Parks Tawat, he believes the 100 billion rand transformation fund is gaining traction. Companies would pay into the fund as part of their BEE requirements. That money would then be used to help black-owned firms.
Transformation fund mustn't be a substitute for what government should do by providing more financing for black SMEs.
Duma Bobule is an economist and research associate.
The Money Show.
On 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Curtis is brought to you by ABSA Corporate and Investment Bank, a leading Pan-African bank and proud sponsor of the African Blockchain Report 2024. ABSA is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Hey besties, welcome to my kitchen tour, or should I say my new walk-in wardrobe. Over here we have the pantry, now home to my jeans and shirts, all color-coded. Oh, and the air fryer, literally the perfect place for my makeup brushes. And who would have thought, the oven is the place to store my handbags.
Who needs a kitchen? Simply spend 200 Rand or more and you could win Simply Asia for a year. T's and C's apply. Simply Asia, connecting the Thai way.
You're with Clement Manyathela.
702. Let's walk the talk.
22 minutes before 11 o'clock. We're starting a new series today that I'm really excited about. And it's a series that is going to be looking at land restitution cases. So we're going to spend the next few weeks looking at successful land restitution programs. I think we need to understand our history in as far as land dispossession is concerned. And we need to understand the resilience and the fighting spirit of communities that have been dispossessed of their land, that ultimately got their land back and transformed it into a source of pride and a source of empowerment. And yes, government land restitution program is not so rosy. I think there have been failures. That's why government is still trying to change its land reform policies so that they come up with a system that's going to at least fasten the process. Because many years in democracy, there's still a slow process in our land reform programs. But that doesn't mean there are no pockets of success. And that's what I want us to highlight, some of those pockets of success. Right? We have a painful past in this country. We have a reality of land dispossession. There are many people that are still awaiting redress due to that slow progress in land reform since the end of apartheid. But there are people who have managed to get back some of the land they were dispossessed of. And we're going to look at those cases. And by the way, if you know of some of the successful cases, whether people who got their land back and they turn into an agricultural sector and they are operating successfully in that, please send me an email on cm@702.co.za. I think there's an opportunity to try and have conversations with those people about how have they been able to do that successfully. Today, we're going to start by looking at the Makuleke community in Limpopo, because they have partnered with unpacks to form sort of top-of-the-range game reserves. I'm sure you've heard of Pafuri luxury camp. You must just go Google it. That's part of what has come as a result of this kind of partnership. There are nature conservation endeavors as well that benefit the community. And this is a community that was forced off their land back in probably in the late 1960s, 1969 or so, because there was an extension of the Kruger National Park northwards towards Limpopo. So the removal was a forced one, and the community had to settle in their current area next to the Kruger National Park. But then later on into democracy, the land was returned to the Makuleke community, who then chose to work with the Kruger National Park to generate development funds and jobs. And that's why now you've got things like the Pafuri camp, which is a luxury safari accommodation. And this is just one example of partnerships that allow people to benefit from their original land. So do you know of other partnerships like this? You can give me a call or send me an email if there's one you want us to look at. Khoshi Humphrey Mukakula is joining us now on the line. Thank you so much for making time for us. So he's the chief of the Makuleke clan. Khoshi Mukakula, thank you so much for your time. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement, and good morning to the listeners.
So the first time, I heard about the story of your community, I was just filled with so much pride, because often I get depressed hearing stories of communities that have been dispossessed of their land, and they're still over 30 years later, they're still waiting for an opportunity to reclaim the land they were dispossessed of. And to see an example like yours where land is claimed back and it's also transformed into a source of pride and empowerment really is something to marvel at. Can you give us some context here, Khoshi Mukakula? Maybe explain to us who the Makuleke people are, and where Pafuri is located, and when were they dispossessed of the land, that community?
Thank you, Clement, and the listeners for giving me an opportunity just to explain exactly what really happened. You're hosting this show today while this year, as a country, we're celebrating the 70 years of the Freedom Charter, where in the Freedom Charter there's a line which was talking about the land, which shall be shared to those that are working on it and generate something out of it. The Makuleke community is the community that is found in Limpopo province, in the north, just within the Kruger National Park, which is about the 2 million hectares of land. The community was just between the two countries at the very scared corner, which called the Crux Corner in the Pafuri region between Mozambique and South Africa and Zimbabwe. So it was just right at the triangle between the two rivers, which is the Vuvu River and the Limpopo River that connects, or the confluence of that area. So the community was forcefully removed in 1969 during the then apartheid regime. They were forcefully removed just because the land was the only thing which was our pride and the heritage of our ancestors and the entire community of the Makuleke. During the 1994, the government came up with the act which is called Restitution of Land Right Act 22 of 1994, which gave the right to all the people that were dispossessed from their land or their land during that time to reclaim their land back. As the Makuleke community, we have engaged in that process of lodging the claim to get our land back.
How long did it take you guys?
It took us almost 5 years. From 1994 until 1998, close to 5 years. So it was a very serious engagement because there were so many national and provincial departments that were involved while we were arguing to get our land back. But good enough, with the assistance of the conservationists, the ecologists, the friends of Makuleke, and those that who understood what was the reason of the Makuleke community to claim their land, we got our land back, restored back to us in 1998, which is the reason we are so proud, and that is the pride that will carry it for the time that I cannot tell, to have our land back. So as I'm speaking to you now, we have the land that we fully owned inside the national park.
Yeah.
The area is about 27,000 hectares of land out of the 2 million hectares that is owned by the Kruger National Park.
That's amazing. So, I mean, getting land back is more than just, of course, when this is that your ancestral land, there's a lot that depends on it. There are probably older people, ancestors, people who have been buried even on that land. What did the return of that land mean for the community of the Makuleke, and how is the community right now benefiting economically from this land that's now come back to you guys?
Yeah, firstly, when we got our land back, and then we felt the reconnection with our ancestors that were buried in the area, because it wasn't easy and then to access the burial site or the grave sites of our ancestors before we got our land back, while it was still within the sun parks. I just want to tell you something, Clement, that before my dad passed on in 2023, he mentioned something which to us is the statement that will be in our minds, our head all the time. Then when he said, it is now better to live in Makuleke than it was before 1998. That statement made almost everyone who is a member of the Makuleke community to realize that indeed before 1998 life wasn't easy, but now it's much better. We now have access to do our rituals in those graves of our ancestors, which it wasn't easy before 1998. Then after 1998, what the community did was to say, we're not going to recycle there. What we need to do is to do exactly what Kruger National Park is doing in that space of land. And then we have engaged in working with honest partners to develop the area. When I say honest, you know, in partnership, you can have some people that are there and then to screw off and all that. So we have to make sure that we get honest partners who understand what does it mean to work with this community, that they have their land dispossessed. So with that, we partnered with good partners to establish the area by building lodges so that it can create jobs to our community and to our people. As I'm speaking, we have most luxurious lodges that are operating in the area that it's owned by the community called Makuleke Contractual National Park inside the Kruger National Park. We have employed so many people, plus minus 150 people that are coming from the community. So these are the benefits that are coming with the land which was brought back to us. So there's a lot of benefit that goes to the community. Apart of that, the very same community, through the land which was restored back to them, have managed between 2000 and 2003, through the resources that they were generating from the area, they have managed and then to generate money which came back to develop the area where we are staying today by electrifying the 2 villages where we are staying in. So these are some of the benefits that we are getting. Hence, during the negotiations, we refused to be given money because the land itself, it's so big that the money that they were going to give us, it was not going to be equal with the land that we are owning today. So instead of opting for money, then we said we're opting for land so that we can able to make money out of the land.
Khoshi Makakula, I'm going to take a quick ad break, and when we come back, we'll continue this conversation. This is the first installment of our series about successful land restitution claims, and today we are starting with the community, the Makuleke community. They were forced off their land, right, when they were there, part of the Kruger National Park, because the park was expanding and extending towards the north in Limpopo. And they lodged the claim to get their land back, and that's one of the successes of the land restitution claims and programs. Now they got the land back, and now when you go to the Kruger, like you check out things like the Pafuri luxury camp, and you see that there are even members of the Makuleke community that are even working there. Just a beautiful way to tell just the story of resilience and the story of just never giving up until you can claim your ancestral land. And I hope this can be the case for many, many other South Africans who were forcefully removed from their land. Have you had an instance like that as your community, your family, that made a land claim? Did you get responded to? Are you still waiting? Are there any successes? What's been your experience? Give us a call or send us a WhatsApp voice note. It's 9 minutes now before 11 o'clock. Want to give your business the edge? Well, Business Outsurance are experts in business insurance for law firms, real estate agencies, computer services, and more. See why over 100,000 businesses across various industries trust them. Switch to Business Outsurance and you could get an out bonus of up to 10% of your paid premiums back. Get a quick and easy quote today. Call 08600 60,000 or visit outsurance.co.za. Licensed, insured, and FSP. T's and C's and information online.
Did you know that every hour someone in South Africa is diagnosed with blood cancer or a blood disorder? DKMS Africa helps patients find a matching stem cell donor, ensuring that patients get the transplant they need. This Mandela Month, be part of the mission. Donate 50 rands towards the Swab Kids Save Lives campaign. Your donation will help more people register as potential stem cell donors. Visit dkmsafrica.org today. Every rand and every swab count in the fight against blood cancer.
702 family. There's a 702 family gathering, so please come and walk with us. Walk the Talk is happening, and the 702 family is inviting you. It's hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane. It's the 702 Walk the Talk. It's going to be hitting the streets on the 27th of July on Sunday. I will be there. Will you be there? This is a chance for us to meet each other, to enjoy the fun and the bars of walking together. And you're going to be entertained along the way by the djembe drums, the brass bands, the dancers, stilt walkers, even surprise appearances by Zola and Ishmael along the way, thanks to Made in Mzansi. Plus, more on-stage entertainment at the finish line. Choose your distance from the 8-kilometer, the 6.7-kilometer for Mandela Month, or the family-friendly 4 kilometers. Entries are 360 Rand for adults, 200 Rand for kids under 12. You can register now on primemediaplus.com. Come and walk with the 702 family and experience the vibe. I can't wait to see you there. The 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane.
At Chamberlain's, there's something for everyone. From building supplies for the home renovators to garden essentials for the homemakers. From power tools for the DIY doers to painting supplies for the patio Picassos. We even have coffee for the slightly sleepy and snacks for the young ones. And for the ones who can never quite find what they're looking for, we have you covered too. With our promise to find and source whatever you need. Chamberlain's, famous for hardware since 1903.
702.
The Clement Manyathela Show.
Let's walk the talk.
7 minutes before 11 o'clock. Let's start with your voice notes on 072 702 1702.
Clement, thanks for the show. Always a good show, Andrew. We have a big land of our grandfathers where I was born, and now I am in a process of trying to work around getting it back, claiming it back. Now the question is, how best, where do one start to claim back the land? I know there are a number of departments that one has to go through, but I'm ready and determined to claim it back and use it productively for our generations to come. Thank you, Andrew.
Hi, Clement. This story is so inspiring and comforting to know that, because usually whenever this the situation of land restitution comes up, those who have the land, they always say, "What you gonna do with it?" They're not gonna
Yes.
do anything. They don't know how they're gonna reproduce again, making it as if the people who are asking for their land, they wouldn't know how to use it. But it's encouraging and it's a good story. Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, what an encouraging story. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted us to do this series. Because again, when black people who've been dispossessed of their land say, we want our land back, sometimes people say, yeah, but what are you going to do with it? Look at what the community of Makuleke have done with their land. There's a whole luxury resort there, camp that you can go to. And the community is benefiting from that. And that comes from their resilience and their perseverance on pushing to have their ancestral land back. Is it Fatuani in Germiston? Good morning.
Good morning, and how are you, Clement?
I'm all right, man. Go ahead.
No problem. Yeah, thank you very much for bringing this case in time, because the Makuleke are part of our case study. You know why? Because we are the greatest land claim in the Kruger National Park.
Yeah.
I think they know about us. We are the Makahane, the originator of land claim within the Kruger National Park, and they pay to us a case study in a way, because we are asking for the similar thing, but our case has been running now for 30 years.
Yeah.
At the same time, we are refusing, and the park is trying to negotiate with us to give us money, and we are refusing money because we need to have access to the land inside and title deeds. Because if you remember, inside there are a lot of things that are happening. The Tulamela, it belongs to Makahane, and so on. And if you can ask the Koshi there, he will let you know that really knows us. But at the same time, we are being restricted to have all those things. But
it's been 30 years for you guys.
Yes.
And you're still pushing with the fight.
We are still pushing. Even now, we had a case in Randburg. Our case is held in High Court in Randburg, and the judges are retired. We are still struggling to get what we want.
Yeah, keep pushing, Fatuani. I really keep pushing until, because once again, it's not just about money. Sometimes it's, we want our ancestral land back. They are our ancestors that are buried in that land. There are rituals that communities probably want to perform on that land as well. Hoshi Makakula, just lastly, what's your advice for people that are listening and they are inspired by this case and they are wondering, how do we even begin? Because, or maybe they're just, Hoshi, I don't know what's wrong with that line. Let me put you back to the producers there to try work on that. But I wanted to know, what is it really that he can say as advice to people that have, maybe have been waiting for 30 years, have been waiting for 10 years, waiting for their matters to be heard. Do you have any advice for them, Hoshi, for those that also they're inspired by your case, but they're also worried about how long it may take for them to get to that point?
Yes, Clement, thank you so much for that. Maybe just a bit of an advice. When you are putting or lodging a claim, forget about the number of years that you will spend, because it's a process to get your land back, because there are so many departments involved. The caller from the Germiston, I guess, of the Makahani community or the land claimants, we know them very well. And then we have been working with them, giving them advices and information. I think their case now is at the High Court in Randburg, at the Land Claims Court. They will get through very soon. I'm very much aware and familiar with whatever things that is needed for that case. We have been working very, very close and helping them. On the other caller who sent you a voice note about this land that they are having, first they need to come together as a community, because the challenge that we have as communities is to have a big land that are being claimed by individuals. And when you have individuals that are claiming one portion of land but with different reasons, That's where the problem is. You may find it's me and Clement who is claiming about 1 hectare of land. You want money, I want land. So it takes time to get to an agreement. What is it that needs to be done? So that big land, they need to come together and agree whether they want land or the other thing. But I will advise them that they must go for land, because there's a lot in the land, like including your grave of our ancestors and all those.
Yeah. Khoshi Humphrey Makakula, thank you so much for making time for us. He's the chief of the Makuleke clan. They now got their land back, and now they have turned it into something that it now empowers the community. I'm proud of that case, and I hope we can have more and more cases that have been successful like that one.
My family's struggling with snotty noses and phlegmy coughs.
Oh no! Have you tried ACC?
ACC 600 is a convenient one-a-day effervescent tablet from 14 years of age, or now also in a no-water-needed, fruity-flavored sherbet-like granules that dissolve in your mouth. Ideal for the on-the-go adult. Ask for ACC 600 effervescent or oral powder at your nearest pharmacy to get rid of the snotties and flemmings. And trust, if it doesn't say ACC, it's not ACC.
This year, the Standard Bank Joy of Jazz Festival offers you 3 days of the heart and art of jazz from the 26th to the 28th of September across 4 stages at the Sandton Convention Center. Esperanza Spalding, The Baylor Project, Jasmine Horn, Alune Wade, Steve Bedi, Michelle Denjoshelo, Steve Dyer featuring Amazwi 8 Choir, Gabi Mutuba, the Fisherman Orchestra, and over 50 world-class acts will be expecting you and yours. Take me there. Buy your tickets +1 at Ticketmaster now.
In this year's Nedbank Business Ignite on 702, we put the spotlight on small businesses who dared to disrupt the industry, awarding one winner 200,000 Rand in cash and a 200,000 Rand advertising package.
It's good for businesses because what we did in automating businesses' financial reporting, we've managed to reduce the amount of time that it takes to prepare their financial statements from 2 weeks to just 2 days, even a day, which is a game changer. And what it does, we have tools that provide businesses and business leaders with real-time information of what's happening in their business in terms of their financial landscape, so that they are ahead of the game. They are able to make informed and timely decisions.
Nedbank Business Ignite on 702. Go to igniteyourbusiness.co.za to view the finalists and winner for 2025. Nedbank, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crushed prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety, and service, Warrior Paints is streets ahead. Warrior Paints, affordable, lasting luxury.
This is EWN.
Good morning, I'm Sfiso Zulu. National Police Commissioner Fani Masimula says an acting divisional commissioner for crime intelligence will be appointed this week. The unit's head, Dumsani Khumalo, was arrested about 2 weeks ago. Khumalo was handcuffed and charged alongside 6 others in connection with 4 counts of corruption and fraud related to the appointment of an unqualified person into crime intelligence. Masimula made the announcement this morning as he tried to allay worries within the police force following explosive allegations against Minister Senzo Mchunu and some senior officials. KwaZulu-Natal top cop Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi accuses them of being controlled by drug cartels and business people who have infiltrated organized crime in the country. Despite this development, police spokesperson Atlenda Mate says SAPS operations will continue as normal.
General Masimula will also update the media on ongoing police operations that are underway to prevent and combat crime in the country. The General assures the nation that daily crime-combating operations and normal day-to-day policing at stations and other SAPS service points continues.
The future of Tshwane Municipality City Manager Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi hangs in the balance as the ANC and DA squabble over his appointment. Last month, Gauteng Cooperative Governance MEC Jacob Mamabulo penned a letter to the capital flagging irregularities with the hiring process of Mkhwanazi and other Section 56 managers. The ANC in Tshwane wants Mkhwanazi to go, while the DA says the ANC has colluded with its provincial counterparts to force out an honest public servant. Tabiso Goba reports.
Like all Section 56 managers, Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi's appointment as city manager had to be approved by City Council. Mkhwanazi's appointment was approved in August by a council under a DA-led coalition. The Cooperative Governance MEC at the time also gave concurrence on Mkhwanazi's appointment. The DA in Tshwane has now raised questions about the timing of the pushback against Mkhwanazi. Meanwhile, Mkhwanazi says he's relaxed about the situation.
Anything that would have happened in the past must be investigated, and I would welcome any investigation, and I will give my full cooperation.
The ANC in Tshwane says it will be petitioning the Speaker to set down a council meeting for a debate and vote on Mkhwanazi's appointment. Tabiso Goba, Eyewitness News.
And Eskom says the return of Unit 4 at the Medupi power station is key to ensuring that the coal-fired power plant continues to bolster the country's economic growth and development. The unit came back online last night, almost 4 years after sustaining significant damage in an explosion. The unit's return follows extensive repairs which have been completed 8 months ahead of schedule. Inefficiencies at the power utility coupled with the downfall of the logistics sector are among the major bottlenecks to economic growth, but Eskom spokesperson Daphne Mokoena says Medupi Power Station has turned the tide, driving efficiency and social upliftment.
During its construction, Eskom invested over 2.9 billion rands in socio-economic development initiatives aimed at addressing urgent needs with local communities. Since its inception, more than 145 million rands has been allocated to corporate social investment programs, benefiting over 80,000 people with a strong focus on rural development, education, and healthcare infrastructure.
Gold is trading at $3,311.15 an ounce. The rand is at 17.76 to the dollar, 24.17 to the pound, 20.87 to the euro. Brent crude oil is at $68.06 a barrel.
And in the traffic, we've got roadworks taking place along the N12 East. This is just before Jet Park Road, delays from Craft Road. Speaking of roadworks, some more are taking place right near the Glulis interchange along the R24 West, delays as you come out of the Edenville Road exit.
A fine day in store for Gauteng. The temperatures will peak at highs between 17 and 19 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola says an acting divisional commissioner for crime intelligence will be appointed this week.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. Choose the 8 kilometer for those walking strong, the 6.7 kilometer in honor of Mandela Month, or the 4 kilometer for families and first timers in 702's Walk the Talk. Tickets on primemediaplus.com.
You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's Walk the Talk, streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7 and 106 FM.
Eight minutes after 11 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the third and final hour of the Clement Manyathela Show. Great to have you with us here on 702. Time for our Family Matters feature.
702.
Family Matters.
So, we are talking about the mama's boy phenomena on our Family Matters feature this morning. Are you a mama's boy? Do you know someone who is your partner a mama's boy? I want us to try and understand this mama's boy phenomena and mother-son enmeshment. I mean, the term mama's boy is often used as slang to describe a man who has an unhealthy dependence on his mother well into adulthood, when he's actually expected to be independent and self-reliant. Some of the mama's boys can never even decide. They can't even be with anyone without mama's approval. So they meet someone, mama must approve. They're about to buy a car. Does mama like it or not? The house. So mama ends up having so much influence in the decisions of her son. And the son doesn't see anything wrong with that. And sometimes it's you as the girlfriend, as the wife, as the partner who often, because you also don't want to be seen as though you don't like your mother-in-law. But you often are the one who helps the gentleman, in this case, to realize that, this relationship you have with your mom is actually quite unhealthy. Now, I know that the term has been reclaimed in recent years to indicate, like when we talk about a mama's boy, it's just a boy or a man who appreciates, respects, admires, and is close to their mother. That's how we've reclaimed that term to mean. But originally, when you look deeper, this was a result of an unhealthy dependence on your mother, an unhealthy relationship with your mother. And of course, a mother's love is often celebrated as one of the most powerful forces in a person's life, right? Because it's nurturing, it's protective, it's deeply formative. But what happens when that love becomes too consuming? What happens when it's too intertwined or too dependent? That's when you create a complex psychological dynamic. Hence, we come to know about the mama's boy syndrome, because you've got this unhealthy relationship that can result in a term like that. So I want us to look at what causes people to have this kind of unhealthy relationship with their mothers, and we'll touch on the unhealthy and we'll touch on the term as has been reclaimed in recent time. But we'll start with the unhealthy aspect of it, because it's important for us to understand where healthy closeness ends and where enmeshment begins. Because then when you understand that, that empowers you as an individual to recalibrate your relationship and build those relationships on a foundation of mutual respect, of healthy boundaries and individual freedom. So have you ever been described as a mama's boy? Do you have a close and healthy or a little too entangled relationship with your mom? Are you a mother with a close relationship with your son, or maybe a partner to a mama's boy? Let me know. 011-883-0702 is the number to dial. WhatsApp's on 072-702-1702. Dr. Tumi Mashiro is a clinical and sports psychologist guiding us through this conversation. Dr. Mashiro, welcome back to the show. Hi.
Good morning, Clement. Good morning to your listeners. Thank you for having me.
So I define the term the way that it used to be defined, this mama's boy phenomena, as a man who has this unhealthy dependence on his mother well into adulthood, when actually he should be independent and self-reliant. But in recent times, we have come to reclaim this term as, I'm just close to my mom, I just love spending time with her, I just respect, appreciate her. So how important is it that we distinction between the two? But then two, why is it unhealthy to have that level of dependence between a mother and child when a child is now an adult?
I think we need to firstly understand that the issues is both ways. So it's not just with the son, but it's also with how the mother attaches or relates with their son. So it's almost like they're in an unhealthy relationship, both of them, when it's unhealthy. And yes, it can also be healthy and good where there is boundaries. But for both of them, let's start first with the son. If there was something that, the attachment the attachment style that the child received when they were young, if that was unhealthy, and there could be various reasons why that is, because either the mother was not okay, either the mother was anxious, either the mother was, just constantly the one having to be the one protecting the child overly so, then the child can develop what we call an insecure attachment style, where they are not really self-reliant, independent. They are not able to think independently and to do what it is that they need to do when they are adults. And whatever it is that happens in your childhood, it will determine how you interact. It will impact your adult relationship and how your personality is shaped. And I think that's what is always key. We need to understand that whatever it is that happened to someone will shape how they are in later in life. And sometimes then the adult who went through this needs to do the work so that they can overcome what it is that they struggle with. But that's not always easy. And also to say that the caregiver projected their own things onto the son, and therefore the caregiver in this case was the mother. Therefore, she also has work to do on herself, because whatever it is that we're not dealing with, if I interact with you and I have issues, I will project them whether I acknowledge them or not. And I think that's the tricky part with psychological things, is that just because you're not acknowledging that you've got traumas or issues, that doesn't mean you will not project them. So the mother projected onto the child whatever, and this developed into this attachment style that they have. But also speaking about healthy relationships, you do get those where a mother and a child and a son can have a good, healthy relationship with boundaries and where there's authenticity. But if they are functioning from a place of anxiety or insecurity or enmeshment, that can be quite toxic.
Okay, so who then must take responsibility for that? Because, the petty guys, normally they call us bomma, because we have a tendency of bomma bari, my mom says, and I don't know how to define even my own relationship with my mom, because I consider that we are close. I do proudly often consider myself a mama's boy, not in an unhealthy way, where I'm too dependent on her. I'm an adult, but trust me, if I do get a job or I buy a car or there's something happening in my life that I celebrate, she's often the first person that I'm going to call, even before a lover. So I don't know if that makes it healthy or unhealthy. The question though I'm asking is, how do we deal with that? Is it the son that's supposed to step back and say, okay, what are the signs to look at here for me to determine this as healthy or unhealthy? Or is it the mom who is expected to say, I'm old, I need to allow this child to develop fully into themselves, so I need to step back?
So at some point, the son, who's now the adult, their relationship with the mother or relationship with other people might be sort of mirroring, or people might be saying to the son that, but hey, you're a mama's boy, or, it seems like you are overly reliant on your mother. Then the son, though, has to come to a place where they decide that they need to do the work. And I think that's always a tricky part with psychology, is that you need to see that you need the help for you to actually benefit from the help. That's why we say to an alcoholic that just be aware that alcohol is your problem, that you have a problem, and then do the work. You don't need to be sober to come, see me. Just acknowledge that you struggle with alcohol. So it's the same with now this unhealthy relationship with the mother, that you as the son who's now the adult, the onus is on you to actually take responsibility for your healing, because it's also quite a big thing to acknowledge that I love my mom, but actually in reflecting, I hate how they made me feel, or how I ended up because of how negatively they impacted me because of certain things. So that's quite a journey as well for the son, but it's not always easy. And equally so, the mother must also go through that journey herself to say, I need to acknowledge, if they do, see that there was a problem, they also need to acknowledge that, I might have impacted my son negatively, and maybe this is not so healthy, and maybe I must do the work and also uproot the root cause of it. Is it because of what happened with the father, my childhood? So the mother also has their own journey to go through.
Yeah.
And, the thing about trauma, it's never our fault. but the healing is always, the onus is on the victim or the one who suffered to, do the work.
And I suppose the problem is sometimes the guys do not see when they're too dependent on their mothers, or their mothers are too dependent on them. And often it takes someone who is close to them, so normally in a form of a partner, normally it's a partner who will say, "Hi, your relationship with your mom, man, is a little weird." And sometimes then the partner may see that as my wife or my girlfriend or my partner is just jealous of my relationship with my mom. And I wonder, because sometimes society also mocks and stigmatizes the strong mother-son bonds. What does research actually tell us about the boys and men and their strong relationships with their mothers?
Sadly, the society we're living in, family systems are so broken. Fathers sometimes are absent either because of work or because of, just not wanting to be with the partner or the person they had a child with. Though there is broken family systems whereby the mother becomes, the center of protection for the child and security. And unfortunately, because the mother could also be functioning from a place of pain, a place of lack, they can also now project certain things. That's why we get where an unhealthy relationship can develop, because the mother is not okay, if that makes sense. So we need to understand that, the society and the system we have now is in such a way that women sometimes become, the person the child looks up to. And what happens is, if the mother is not okay, sometimes there's incidences where the mother is so reliant on the firstborn son that it becomes, she sees this person as the male figure in her life, and that's where it can also become quite unhealthy, where she's unable to let the son go or the son to make their own choices because they feel betrayed. They feel like the son is betraying them because they've got this unhealthy relationship with their son. So it's really important to do the work. But yes, research has shown that it is quite tricky in terms of development for the male figure sometimes, just because of what's happening in our society. And you do get healthy relationships, but you also get these unhealthy relationships, sadly.
Okay. What does a secure, healthy bond then look like? So there are probably people listening to us now, some guys who are like, but I'm close to my mom, but I don't think that's unhealthy. Or they're probably asking themselves, could I be in an unhealthy relationship, so to speak, for lack of a better word, with my mom? So what does a secure, healthy bond between mother and son look like?
So as a son, as an adult, when you have that secure bond, then you are able to have a separate sense of self. So meaning when you achieve something that you're able to celebrate it. Yes, you can recognize your mother, but you're not dependent also on her reaction in that celebration, because sometimes what happens is the mom is so the one who needs to approve everything, including the celebrations. So sometimes you want to celebrate achieving certain things, but if your mom is critical of it, then that can really break you. Right. And it means that you are so enmeshed in whatever it is that she says, that when she doesn't approve, it becomes a problem. And it can also where you are able to, in spite of her disapproval, when you are able to function and carry on and accept that mom sometimes won't approve of the things I do, that is where we have a healthy relationship. Because as adults, we then must see our parents as human beings, right? So to understand that they're also flawed, that they're not perfect, and it's not always easy. As I said, we've got that I love my parents, but I hate how they made me feel in this in certain instances. So it's really important when you do have a healthy relationship that you are able to structure boundaries and to make sure that they don't take over your life, and you're okay with it, and you're not feeling guilty. Because if it's an unhealthy relationship, then you are so guilty, so anxious that you don't even know what to do, and it impacts intimacy with your partner. It creates a lot of conflict, and there is no autonomy where you really need to call her for everything, right? Because you want her approval.
Sure, yeah. What if my partner is just jealous of my relationship with my mom?
It can happen also,
Because I
right?
maybe I
So
talk
I
to my
think
mom longer than I talk to my partner on the phone. So,
but the question is, why are you talking to your partner with your mother for so long, Clement?
I
That's my
mean,
question.
I know my mom more than I know you. I just met you 2 years ago. I've known my mom for the last 35 years, maybe. Let's hear from some of our listeners, Dr. Mashiro, on 011-883-0702. That's the number to dial. Are you a mama's boy? What have you picked up any healthy or unhealthy? How do you know for sure that your relationship or the bond with your mom is healthy? As I said, sometimes it does get worse where mothers just want to have a say in where you live as a son, like who you date. If they don't like your partner, it becomes too dramatic. They expect you to sort of take a position of a semi-husband of sorts, and that's where it can get unhealthy. Have you picked that up maybe with your own partner, with your own sibling, and how they relate with your mother? Give us a call or send us a WhatsApp voice note on 0727021702. Taboho, you are calling us from Alberton. Good morning.
Yeah, hi. Good morning.
Sure, man. Go ahead.
Great show. Not as always, though.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Sure.
Clement, look, man. This is a very quick one. You know, it's very easy for people to call, especially guys, mama's boys. But you need to ask yourself, who actually calls guys mama's boys? It's always the other gender. And it comes back to the background, in terms of where we grew up, the environment, so forth and so on. I mean, my mother is a single parent. And upon me making it in life, and as much as I'm doing well, I feel it's fair for me to reward her, for the hard work. So, like you said earlier on, if I'm gonna go purchase something, purchase property or a car, so forth and so on, I consult with her to say, look, what do you think of it? What do you think of that? I mean, because she was the only solid person that I had my entire life.
Yeah.
So if my partner just, randomly comes in my life and says, no, I do not like the color of this or the color of that. And whereas my mother's been approving that color my entire life, and I've been enjoying that color my entire life. And then, I don't know what to say.
But I you must compromise, especially if you're sharing the place with your partner. It can be what me and my mom have always approved. Like, we love this color coordination. You have to consider the person you live with, because your mom doesn't live with you.
No, 100%, and I fully agree with that. So, like I said, it goes back to the number of parents that one grew up with. If I grew up with one parent and she grew up with both parents, she's a daddy's girl the other side.
Yeah.
But now I've always been a mama's boy, and it gets to be like a mama's boy, unfortunately. I don't have both parents. And yet, so, no, when you're a mama's boy.
Yeah.
But hold on a second, you grew up with two parents. And I can tell you now that you also a daddy's girl.
And I don't think we must be made to feel ashamed of actually having close relationships with our mothers as guys. I don't think so, because as I said, society tries to stigmatize that. They're trying to mock that. But am I going to need permission from my mom? Am I going to need to consult my mom about every single thing? I don't know about that. Tabogo, thank you for calling us. Dr. Mashiro, is it healthy to still be consulting your mom when you are an adult like that? Like about, what do you think? Should I paint, the inside of my house, for instance? I mean, you can ask for an opinion, I guess, but I mean, at what point then do we say this is consultation or this is just, I just want to hear what my mom thinks?
For me, it always goes back to self. So in instances where we consult mom about everything, we need to then look at, okay, what happens when she cannot give me, an opinion, or she's unable to come through for me? Or also, what happens when I disagree with this? And also, am I able to come up with my own ideas? Or is it always that I must call mom? And also, I think we need to look at the self in that, am I trying to be a savior for mom all the time? right? Because she was a single parent. She struggled with this. She raised me alone. So it's almost like you constantly feeling like you owe her. So the work must come in for the son to say, let me now understand and, understand who I am outside of mom. And also understand that I'm not the savior of mom. This was her journey. And yes, it might have been difficult. And she might have had to do a lot of things to make sure I'm okay. But am I feeling indebted to her for life? What if she says no? Or what if you want to try out a new color and she disagrees with it? What's going to happen then? So I think it's also just having that conversation with self to say, am I also able to make my own decisions in spite of, what mom says? Do I know what I like? Am I functioning from a place of pain, because of, having mom as the only parent that raised me? So that's the conversation the sons must have to see, am I functioning from a place of lack or a place of pain because of my childhood? Yeah.
Okay. Gail, you're in Johannesburg. Good morning. Hi, Gail.
Hi.
Hi, go ahead.
Hi, how are you?
I'm all right, Gail. How are you?
Good. Kevin, I have got such a mommy's boy.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, mommy's boy is a term that's often used in a derogatory way to describe a man who is seen as overly dependent on his mother.
Yeah.
Lacking independence or self-reliance. It then implies a relationship where mummy has an excessive sort of influence of control over her son's life. Often this happens at an age where now he is expected to become more autonomous, mostly once he's left the home. However, I take it from a stance where, firstly, I say, kids imitate their parents. We give them, when they're growing up, the choices and the consequences, and I've always lived by that phrase. And then, of course, adding in the dependence. We've got to teach them to be independent, okay? And to maintain beautiful relationships, with mommy, and knowing that I'm not your friend, I'm your mommy, okay? So my son is 44 years old, and up until today, no conversation ends without, I love you. And even if he's with his wife or with his male friends or in a pub, etc. And if it doesn't end that way, he'll actually phone back, or I will phone back, so that line can be repeated and embraced. Okay, and it's genuine. I promise you.
Yeah.
No conversation ends without saying "I love you."
Well, I hope he tells his partner that he loves him, because it will be weird for the partner to hear him saying it to his mom.
Clement, he does it all the time. He's been taught so well. Love is such an important thing. And then what the next step is, well, certainly it worked for me. I said, when he was getting married and etc., I'm handing over the baton, okay? And I've handed over the baton, but it doesn't take away the relationship that we have, because he was raised that way, you see? And then it leaves one with such a good, warm feeling when you're able to do that, and you're on the outside looking in at how he treats his wife, his partner. And I let go, and I say, my darling, to my daughter-in-law, I visit on appointment. I'm not just going to buzz the buzzer.
Absolutely. Gail, that's the perfect example to use there, I think. Thank you for your call, Gail, in Johannesburg. It's 11:32. I mean, you can be honest as well, like Gail, and say, I have a mama's boy, and I'm loving it. But I like that with Gail, there are boundaries there. There are boundaries that are clearly defined, and that helps. Sfiso, Bali. Who's reading? Mpo.
Good afternoon,
Good morning.
Clement. It's Mpo. We begin with breaking news this morning. The man convicted of the 2017 murder of former ANC Youth League Secretary General Sindiso Magaqa, Sibusiso Mngengwa, has been sentenced to 2 life terms. Judgment was handed down in the Pietermaritzburg High Court a short while ago. Mngengwa pleaded guilty, admitting to Magaqa's murder, attempted murder, malicious injury to property and unlawful possession of firearms and ammunition. Magaqa was ambushed on July 2017 outside a tuck shop in Umzimkhulu, KwaZulu-Natal. He and 2 councillors were shot multiple times while sitting in a vehicle. We'll bring you more on this story in the upcoming bulletins. And an entrepreneur with alleged links to the underworld and political backing is a key figure in the explosive allegations made by KZN Provincial Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. Yesterday, Mkhwanazi held a press briefing in Durban while he made several damning allegations against high-ranking police officials and Minister Senzo Mchunu. Mkhwanazi alleges that Vusi Cat Matlala, a man who scored an almost 400 million rand police tender, is at the center of a syndicate in Gauteng which has captured organized crime officials. And South Africa's national bird, the blue crane, has been listed as vulnerable following a decline in breeding processes and success. The bird's change in conservation status has made a regional red book data for birds. According to experts, the blue crane population in the Overberg region of the Western Cape has declined by 44% since 2011. The decline is largely linked to the disturbance of breeding grounds and higher temperatures. Those are the headlines this EWN. More at midday or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, travelling in Midrand, we've got some delays on the N1 North. That's between Allendale Road and New Road. That's due to a car that is stuck on the road between these 2 points. So please be on the lookout there. If you are travelling in Kempton Park, we've got an accident reported. It's on the R21 South, right near the R23. It's causing delays. And there's another accident seen along the N12 West. This is in the Boksburg area. It happened before Jet Park Road, also causing some issues there. And if you are travelling along the N12 as well as the R24 West, you expect some issues. This is between Edenville Road and the Kilulis interchange while heading towards Mayfair. Some delays along the M2 West between the Crown interchange and Main Reef Road. And that's your last traffic update from me, Mo Ramela. Otherwise, Karabo Jali will have your next traffic update at the top of the hour.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
And they're off. Out front, it's Doped Up Glory, followed closely by Whipped Into Shape. Little Too Young making a surprising early push, just 2 years old and already on her second race this week. Duct Tape Dreams taking the outside lane, tongue-tied and terrified, but hey, she's fast when she's scared. Discarded Glory stumbles at the back, used to be a champ, now just waiting for the knackery truck to the glue factory. Halfway through, it's beaten again, cracking the whip literally, pushing through the pain barrier, eyes wide, heart-breaking, lungs bleeding. She doesn't know she can stop. Learned helplessness, they call it. We just call it racing. And at the final stretch, it's Doped Up Glory by a nose. She's done it. Oh wait, she's down. She's not getting up. Oh well.
Cruelty is staining horse racing. The NSPCA is calling for the industry to sign their racing code of conduct to hashtag Rein in the Pain. Show your support at nspca.co.za/Rein in the Pain.
Checkers XXL Savings is on with the XXL Jackpot competition. New week, new deals, new jackpot. This week, save on Coca-Cola No Sugar, Light or No Caffeine Cold Drink, 2.25 litres, any 2 for 28 Rand. And Twin Saver 2-ply White Toilet Rolls, 9-pack, 3 for 199 Rand. Remember, buy any 3 participating products and get a scratch card to enter. Deals valid until Sunday at Checkers.
Some walks are just for exercise, others for leisure. But this walk is for something greater.
It's team building.
This July, you won't just take a step, you'll take a stand. You'll walk through history. You'll walk with it. On Sunday, 27 July, the 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane, returns. It's a route that winds through the heart and soul of our capital city. From the sacred grounds of Freedom Park to the powerful steps of the Union buildings. Choose the 8 kilometer for those walking strong, the 6.7 kilometer in honor of Mandela Month, or the 4 kilometer for families and first-timers. Entries are 360 Rand for adults, 200 Rand for children under 12. Enter now on primemediaplus.com. 702 Walk the Talk, hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane, is where footsteps become footprints.
Quiet, please. Quiet, please. Quiet, please.
With 50% off on limited Tennis Town tickets, no wonder Amex card members are so thrilled. Enjoy a world-class tennis experience at Monte Casino between 11 and 13 July 2025. Buy your tickets for Amex Tennis Town online today at howler.co.za for the Championships Wimbledon experience with the Mzansi advantage. Tennis is better with Amex.
702.
Family Matters.
22 minutes before 12 o'clock, we're talking about the so-called mama's boy phenomena, or mother-son enmeshment, right? The term has been used as slang to describe a man who has an unhealthy dependence on his mother well into adulthood. And I would argue vice versa, maybe a mother who has an unhealthy dependence on her son when their child is expected to be independent and self-reliant. And I know in recent years we're saying, this is just a man who appreciates, respects, admires, and has a close relationship with his mom. I'm asking, what are your experiences of mama's boy phenomena? Maybe it's something you've picked up with your partner. Maybe it is something you've picked up in yourself, or maybe in your own relationship between your partner and their mother. I want you to share those experiences with us on 011-883-0702, the WhatsApp line 0727021702. Dr. Tumi Mashiro is a clinical and sports psychologist guiding us through this conversation. She's helped us understand what sort of becomes the basis of a relationship like that, and what a secure, healthy bond between a mother and son actually looks like. At what point does it become unhealthy? Let's start here with your WhatsApp voice notes.
Hi, Clement. This is Cyril. Clement, that thing is the mama's boy thing is very, very wrong. Can you imagine what happens if the shoe is on another foot? If the girl is being controlled, in fact, let me put it mildly, being told what to do, to her husband and so on by her mother, that would be construed to be something else, and that's not healthy. Thank you very much.
Hi, Clement. Thanks for a great show. This is Bakang from Centurion. Listen, I'm all for you having a close relationship with your mom. I think with us from a lady's side, like ladies' point of view, usually you guys that are close to their moms are the ones that usually respect women and they know how to treat women. But if I'm married to you guys, like really, if I'm your wife and we're married, I think it's only fair that we have a discussion within the house. And it gets to a point where you have to let's cut the umbilical cord. In all honesty, like, guys, really, you can't just put your mom first over your wife. If that's the case, then I personally, honestly think if your mom is gonna come first, even before your wife, then rather not get married, for real. That's just how it is. I'm all for mommy and my mom-in-law, helping with helping with babysitting and being close to the kids, and me being close to her as well. I don't mind, but what, guys? No.
Clement, this thing is a bit weird. Have you noted, normally when our daughters are very close to us as their fathers, or our sisters are very close to our fathers, it was so cute. Hey, daddy's girl, hey, what, we what. But when it comes to us men, it becomes a bit of a red flag kind of thing. It's weird, like for men it's unfair. It looks as if like mommy's boy is like maybe a bit weird, but for basadi, it's something a little cute. That's my 2 cents, and I find it weird.
That's a fair point, isn't it, Dr. Mashiro? When you are more closer with your mom as a guy, then it's like very suspect. There are all sorts of names that are being established.
Yeah, sadly it can happen. And I was actually going to say that we need to be aware that when a son goes into a relationship with someone, that the other party might also not be, they might project their own insecurities. So it's not always that when they say, hi, your relationship is too, it's not healthy with your mom, that it's actually the objective truth. So when they're in a relationship with you, they might be triggered by your healthy relationship. So we also must understand that as partners, that if you're triggered by this relationship, they also need to do the work to ensure that, it's not coming from a place of lack or misunderstanding or insecurity, that it's a genuine concern, because it can be that the partner is just not understanding it because they never had it, or they're triggered by it because, they want power and control over their partner.
Yeah, sure. So there's some stories being told here. I mean, one person says, anonymous, says, Clement, it cost me my marriage, that mama's boy phenomenon. I couldn't take it. The man was completely under the petticoat government. The mother was pulling the strings from where she was, and I could literally feel her breathing down my neck. It's abnormal. They should stay with their mothers until they're properly weaned. That's a message there from an ex-spouse. Geez, some people are leaving marriages for that. That's so hectic. Another one says, Clement, mama's boy is an issue when the guy is married and his mom mingles in his marriage affairs, controlling and demanding attention like a newlywed, even kisses her son on the mouth in front of his wife. That's a message from Pearl from Florida. I don't know, Dr. Mashiro. I mean, I'm conflicted here, because if you've grown up like that, where mommy my grandmother used to just kiss us on the lips, for instance, like when we go home, even as adults, hey, come here, we'll just kiss you. There are other people who are just socialized like that as a family. So should mothers then rather do it on the forehead, on the cheek, not on the lip? Because why are we sexualizing that as well?
In that scenario, we're hoping that it's also consistent, that she does that with the daughter-in-law as well, or the partners as well, to greet them. So it's not just with the son. I'm assuming that she like that everybody. But yeah, so I think sometimes, as I said, if it's something new to you, it might be triggering to you, that relationship the son has with his mother.
Yeah.
So I think also when you also are uncomfortable, just make sure that it's not coming from a place of you being triggered or not understanding this thing because you never had it, or it doesn't make sense to you, or because the father figure you had in your life was so absent and so distant. Present but absent. Yeah, so I think we also need to be self-aware in all the instances.
Yeah. But is it weird though, Dr. Mashiro, if that's how you guys have done it throughout in the family, and the mom, does it to you and and her entire kids? Does that still make it weird?
No, I'm of view that if people are, as you said, socialized differently, and if that's what they've been doing, it's okay. Yes, you do have unhealthy instances where that happens, where there's incest, but it's not always the case.
It's not,
and I think we become skeptical because if it's unfamiliar to me, I might just be triggered by it. But I think that's where the work must come in to say, why am I triggered by this kiss that is meant to be so innocent?
Yeah. And I just think sometimes we do sexualize things. It's like even with, a young lady who's close to her father, at the age of 18 or 20 or whatever, and the father, every time they meet, the father will kiss her on the lips. The quick thing we run to is we want to sexualize that, and I just think sometimes we're socialized differently. They're not even thinking about that. Another one says, hi, Clement. I know a friend whom his mom picks out the outfits he wears to work. Sometimes I would watch as she helped him select his outfit via video calls late at night, or she would come over very early in the morning to pick out his outfits for the day. He's not married yet, but but what if mommy understands like fashion, or maybe he doesn't know how to dress for work and mommy has always been helping him out? I mean, at some point, of course, he needs to find his independence in a way of knowing how to look, how to dress to go to work. Your mom can't be the one that constantly helps you with that. But if mommy is helping in the beginning, I don't know, does that become an issue? Anonymous says, Clement, I love this topic. I'm just curious, why is it only the boys or men who are mama's boys? What happens if the girls are mama's girls or papa's girls? Would the same apply? And that's precisely the question that was asked by that other listener earlier on. More of your WhatsApp and calls after the break. It's 12 minutes before 12.
They say the early bird catches the worm. Great advice, unless you're the worm. Generic so-called wisdom doesn't work for everyone. So I settle for a financial plan that's one size fits some. Momentum accredited financial advisors take the time to get to really know your unique situation. Advice meets your context. Momentum, your journey to success. Momentum is part of Momentum Group Limited, an authorized financial services and registered credit provider.
SAPS Communications is a proudly black female-owned innovation company based in Gauteng in the Northern Cape, using tech, sustainability and entrepreneurship to drive real change, from robotics and coding training to eco-friendly branding like plantable name tags and recycled bags. SAPS is all about impact with purpose. They even support last mile delivery and promote tools like AI Toolkit by Dr. Alan Mutono to help people grow. Visit sadacommunications.co.za to learn more or partner with them today.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We are also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct to give you balanced programming, fair comments, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we are not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission. Email bccsa@nabsa.co.za. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
702
Family Matters.
10 minutes before 12 o'clock.
Clement, yeah, this topic is like that. I don't want, you can do anything to me, you can say anything to me, but don't involve my mom. You don't dare. I freak out. And the same applies. I've got a very soft spot for my daughter. My wife always complains. Yeah, it's like she's the only child here. I've got two boys, but I'm very, very, very fond of my daughter. Very. And she's very fond of the sons. Yeah, she advocates for them. And yeah, she doesn't want to hear anything, especially the big one. So I think this thing is natural. It comes naturally, Clement. Yeah. It comes natural. This thing, I've seen it many times. It comes natural.
I think so too. And I've seen instances with my friends or family members who've got daughters that they adore. You can clearly say that they adore them more than their sons. It happens. And sometimes you can see mothers just adore sometimes their son, a particular son or sons, more than their daughter or daughters. It's happened before. But for some reason it becomes a phenomena when it's a boy child who's close to their mother. But that listener also raises an important point about how overprotective we often are towards our mothers, because he says, if you say anything bad about my mom, then you're triggering me, like I'll show you flames. Hey, doesn't that happen a lot? Because we revere our mother so much that should you dare even involve her in our debate, that is going to be a problem for us. That's going to cause conflict between us. It's just so fascinating watching these dynamics and understanding the psychological bedrock of this. Sipho, you're in Parkmore. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. How are you?
I'm all right, man. Go ahead.
Sorry, first-time colleague. Listen, this mama's boy thing, sorry, I was saying to your producer or whoever took the phone, I think for me, it's females avoiding accountability. So, mama's boy, as a male, I've never called another guy a mama's boy, right? I'll call them a softie maybe if they are very gentle and so on. So if a father has an overarching control of their son or influence, let's say influence of their son, they are not called what father's son. Father's son actually is a positive thing, because if a father controls or influences their son, it's assumed it's a positive thing, right? So then, Intombi Gayise, which is, your father's daughter, is also a positive thing. But on the other side, when females want to avoid accountability, they then will look at a male who is taking influence from their mother And our mothers, they've influenced us for a long time. As we get into a relationship, if they continue to guide us, right, it's not bad. It's not a bad thing. Simply because your partner or the other side doesn't appreciate with that influence, then they say you're mama's boy. But what if it was a father? What if it was a father exacting the same thing, influence on that son?
Got it. Sipho in Parkmore, absolutely agree with you. Couldn't have said it better. And Dr. Mashego did explain the difference between an unhealthy relationship with mom, because they do exist, and a healthy relationship where mom and boy are close. And I don't think, if you're listening to us and you're so close to your mom and it's healthy, I don't think you should be ashamed of that. You shouldn't be ashamed of that. And sometimes partners can be jealous of that because maybe they don't get, because I think it's also a problem that if you're giving your mom more affection, more attention than your actual immediate partner, your wife, your girlfriend, your partner, of course there's going to be a problem at some point. So it's about managing it as well.
Hi, Clement. Lovely show, I must say. Very interesting topic. It's Marado here. My little 2 cents. The thing of mama's boy, it really also depends on the background. That's just my opinion. Some of men were raised by single moms. So those moms stood as a father and as a mother. Under normal circumstances, men would consult with their dad about issues of their life. So those guys who are called mama's boys, some of them never had a dad to consult to, no uncle to consult to. So when they want to hear someone's second opinion, that will be their mothers. So as a result, they are attached. Not necessarily that they are mama's boy. That's my view. At some certain point, nothing wrong with being too close to your mom.
I think there's nothing wrong, Clement, with your relationship with mother. But it goes to a point whereby now the decisions are taken by the mother while we are married. Once I'm married, I must take decision with my wife. But the moment when the mother must take a decision for us, it goes wrong. I hate in such a relationship, end up breaking, you understand? Because now mothers control everything. If I want to buy a house, I have to go and tell my mother. I want to buy a car, I must tell your mother. But while we are married, why can't you take decision with your wife? You get my point? It's not really healthy if your mother have to control everything about you. No. Take a decision with your wife, not your mother taking a decision for us.
Yeah.
You buy a car, going for a road, they must tell your mother. No, it's not healthy that way.
Yeah, sure. Dr. Mashego, I've got 10 seconds left here. I've got an interesting message from someone who says, "Hi, Clement. My 26-year-old son told us yesterday that he's moving into a new place with his girlfriend of 8 months. We've not met this girlfriend. She's older and already has a preteen child. I'm devastated as a mother, and I feel that this girl has recognized a naive, sentient cheese boy. She lives in a one-room in Alex, and we are in a huge house in Senton. Am I wrong to be crying?" Dr. Mashego, in 10 seconds, is mother here being crazy, being controlling?
It sounds like there is reason for concern, but I think what is important is now what is she going to do going forward with the situation? Because sometimes we also must understand as parents, as adults, that our children, unfortunately, this is their journey. Even though you can advise and support and ensure that you give them, your objective view, but also understand that children also are on their own journey. And the more you say no, right, it's the more they're going to want to do that. So I think it's important that maybe she gets some sort of clarity on how to approach it, maybe from a professional, right, to ensure that, the child knows that she's there and her concerns, but in a safe space, so that, if the child still goes ahead, that if it goes wrong, the child is able to come back to the mom and say, wow, you were right.
Yes, this is what happened. Yeah, Dr.
Dimi. Yeah, so it's also important to manage, that relationship. Unfortunately, children sometimes go towards red flags.
Absolutely. Dr. Tumi Mashego, clinical and sports psychologist, thank you for guiding us. I think we should have part 2 of this conversation, given the kind of reaction we've gotten today. It's 2 minutes before 12.
Whenever you hear deep in the heart and art of jazz,
Think Sia Makuzeni with the big band, Jasmine Horn, Alun Wad, The Baylor Project, Jose James sings Badu, Umusangare, Esperanza Spalding, Michelle Dugiocello, Elaine, Tezo, Munei, Mondli Ngobo, and many other spectacular icons. Things Standard Bank Joy of Jazz Festival, 4 stages at the Santon Convention Center, 26th, 27th and 28th September, and take me there. Book via Ticketmaster.
Welcome to Nando's Customer Care. How can I help you?
Finally, can I actually just speak to the manager? It's about the chicken. Why did you marinate it for 24 hours? 24 hours, 86,400 seconds to marinate. Why? Well, I mean, it is really tender, juicy, and that delicious Nando's peri-peri flavor just warms me up. And then you add any 3 sharing sides, and I guess, well, there is nothing like it. But that is my complaint. I can't complain.
Nando's, fire it up.
Okay, truck 7, that has 0 warning lights. Truck 8, it's just been serviced. I guess we're running like a well-oiled machine. Where would I be without My Way's comprehensive cover for my vans and trucks? Plus, cover for my customers' orders with goods and transit insurance. I guess we'll never know.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Coming up
on the Midday Report.
All right, coming up on the Midday Report, Sidi Madia, how are you doing?
My jaw's still on the floor, but I'm good.
Pick it up, because we need you to help us navigate what the hell is going on.
We're going to try our best, but I think it's important to speak about the matter that you're seeing, that breaking news story, Clement. The sentencing of Sindiswa Makatla's killer. We'll actually start the show with his wife to get her reflections on finally seeing justice and whether